Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, it's episode 449. Lots going on. Kamala raises 200. Trump gives a speech at crypto, and Bitcoin goes to the roof. Musk and Newsom have an exchange, which is hilarious when you see how Musk responds to Newsom. And there's a bunch of other things going on. Rob, my audio is low if you guys can bring it up. Donald Trump's story comes out. Newsweek says Trump has 10 days, that's much better, to replace J.D. Vance. Who would write a story like that? This is Chuck Schumer. Newsweek, 10 days to replace. You know they want to put the doubt in there, but that's what it says. Google sparks new election conspiracy as key features omits Trump. And we'll show that to you when we go through it. Elon Musk blasts Google over omission of Trump assassination search suggestions. Thousands threaten not to watch the Olympics. I don't know if you saw the Olympics, folks, with what happened with the opening. I'm sure it's... whether you watch it by yourself with your kids, all of a sudden, like, kids, close your eyes, you know, earmuffs, all this stuff. But they pulled it off, and they apologized. It's like, listen to the billion-plus people that you watch it. We're so sorry. But the point got across. To 1 billion people worldwide moving forward, Olympics should be 18 and over, only rated R. Olympics should no longer be PG-13 after what they're doing. California Supreme Court rules Uber, Lyft drivers classified as contractors. That's progress. That's good. America's demand for skilled electricians is entering a boom cycle. Florida's housing market is seeing, ready, nightmare scenarios as buyers back out due to affordability concerns. Redfin says U.S. home insurers suffer worst loss in this century. Rocket attack blamed on Hezbollah kills children on football field. Venezuela's risks civil war as both Putin's pal and opposition declare victory. They're talking about Maduro. Secret Service SWAT team never met before Trump's rally. Let me say that one more time. Secret Service and SWAT team never met before Trump's rally yesterday. I had the great Sheriff Judd here, which we went for 2 hours. Let me tell you what he had to say, but we'll give you some feedback and commentary on what he said. Can you imagine these two guys never meet? The cops, the SWAT, doesn't meet with Secret Service for a President Trump that's coming to speak in your city, which is only 13,000 people. Why would you not have those two meet? Who knows? Biden and Harris debut, plan to overhaul Supreme Court. Big, big story there. Trump issues response after being warned to stop outdoor rallies. I already talked about this one here. Peter Thiel, elated by the J.D. Vance pick, warms to Trump again. Interesting. And then you have McDonald's sales fall for the first time since COVID. A Fed rate cut is finally within view. U.S. markets suffer worst day since 2022 as Tesla and AI stock fall. U.S. consumers show signs of flagging, companies and analysts warn. And last but not least, Americans saved the least amount last month since 2022 as wallets remain light despite strong economy. So I got an update for you. Today at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm running this webinar, free webinar called the AI Revolution. This thing is already, it only limits, we upped it from 3,000 to 5,000. It only limits 5,000 people to be on. 20,000 people have already registered to get on. That's the QR code. You will all get a 30-page white paper that we've put together. We put 300 hours into this. On top of that, I will be announcing 3 new speakers that will be at the Vault Conference at the end of this webinar. Nice. The only way you get this white paper is by you being on this webinar. The QR code right there is for you to get registered for it. Go out there and register, but there's a couple other things I want you to do. Register, and at the same time, once your name is in there, go on your phone and add it to your calendar. Reminder, not at 6 o'clock, 5:45 with a 15-minute reminder, because I know exactly what happens when we do these. While we go live, we're going to get thousands of emails of people saying can't get on, and it's because it's only limited to 5,000 people to get on. That is intentional. That's the QR code. Get registered. We have a lot to talk about. It breaks down every single time we went through a certain industrial revolution, things that changed, what the fears were, what industries were disrupted, how many millions of jobs were lost in a certain sector, and how the same thing is happening with AI. But if you don't know how to prepare for it, you're going to take a hit. Whether you're an employee, entrepreneur, executive, this is the webinar for you. Go to that QR code, get registered. We'll have that tonight. Again, 6 o'clock, Tuesday, July 30th, Eastern Standard Time. Let's get right into it. Okay. Rob, if you can do me a favor, Olympics opening. Okay, let's get right into it. I'm a parent. I got 4 kids. Father, you look forward to this because it's an element of competition. Right now in our house, just so you guys know, there's something very serious going on with my 2 boys, okay, that we may even document it as their first video on their YouTube channel. Here's what it is. We're debating it right now. There's something in the David household going on called the Bet Olympics. Let me tell you what the Bet Olympics is. They're now the ages where they don't want to be roommates anymore. They need privacy.
I had that conversation with them.
And it's serious.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding with you.
Both of them want their own room.
So
big time.
Freaking serious. So check this out.
Yeah.
I'm turning one of the rooms downstairs into a bedroom, and it's going to be a sick bedroom, and it's going to be a lot of privacy. But the one upstairs got the video of the intercoastal. So they're like, look, which one's going to get which? I said, look, guys, neither wants to tell the other which room they want, okay? Because half the battle is beating the other guy, right? That's, I mean, obviously, I don't know how they get this competitive spirit, but they want to compete. So they said, they write up the agreement while we're out of town in Arizona, doing the event, whatever we're doing. I get back in town, they show me the contract. 7 events they're going to go through. Swim, basketball, it's all these things that they're going through, right? Running. Anyways, they got all this stuff.
I was invited to it at church. You know that. He invited me to this event.
Whoever wins 4 out of 7 gets to choose the room. So we're in the Olympic mode. And then comes the opening.
Oh, man. Ugh.
And imagine your kids are sitting there who go to church on Sundays and they're seeing this as the opening. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead and play this as the opening. By the way, if you're with kids watching this today, hey, kids, just like when we watch movies and there are certain scenes, close your eyes. Mommy, daddy, tell your kids. This is for adults only. Go for it, Rob. Look at this. Look at this. To 1 billion plus people, what are they representing? The Last Supper. Who are they making fun of? Christians. They didn't make fun of Muslims in this scene.
They don't dare.
They don't make fun of anybody else. It's strictly to Christians.
What does that have to do with the Olympics?
Saira, as I said,
You can pause it right here, Rob. We don't even continue with this. So,
but what about the guy when the blue guy
dancing, the whole thing with the guy dancing?
This was the most shocking thing.
Yeah, and by the way, if you, I don't even want you to zoom in.
Yeah.
But if you watch this, the guy on the left
next to the kid.
Yeah. If you
she has a beard.
Go back a little bit, Rob. Rewind a little bit, right there. Okay, go back half a second. Okay, yeah, let it play right there. The guy on the black next to the kid to the left, he's got these things that are called testicles that are hanging out.
Oh.
Just so you know, okay? Right there, boom, right there, okay?
Hey.
So, by the way, this is called the Olympics, a family-friendly environment for your kids to aspire to one day be in the Olympics. And do you know what Macron tweets while this is taking place? You know what he tweets? Here's what he tweets. He tweets out and says, this is France. And I retweet his tweet and I said, it's all starting to make sense about France.
Good.
Tom, when you saw this, what was your reaction as a parent?
Well, on one hand, you're not surprised because you give artists, a platform like this, and the one thing they want to do is push the envelope and push it over. But I was insulted. It was terribly insulting. And I look at it this way. There's only, who do you attack? You try to attack the truth. You try to attack strength. So it doesn't surprise me that Christians, Catholics, Protestants, Mormons, that whole lane that line up as Christian faiths get attacked. And it doesn't surprise me, but I was really incensed by it. And you look at the ownership of media, you look at who's running the media channels and look like that. And it's like, how long are you going to get away with audience just coming back? And it's the only way you can pull this off is because it's the Olympics. That's the only way. And you know what this is? This is indoctrination. This is absolute indoctrination.
Vinny, how did you feel about it?
Well, I had to take notes. That's how bad this thing was. Because I want to first and foremost, it cost France $8.2 billion to put this together. I thought on the business angle to come to you with this. They're projected to receive $4 billion in revenue, Tom, and they had an influx of 3 million people are in France just for this, okay? NBC sold a record $1.2 billion worth of advertising. And okay, Pat, and I want to ask you guys, because you guys are the business guys. Who do you think gives a green light for something like that, of that scale, for an opening. You do events all the time. We have one coming in September, the Vote, Pat. It just happened before this started. People are coming in here, approve this, Pat, video, no, yes, add this, do that. You are hands-on with all that stuff. When it comes to something like that, how many people have to look at that, Pat, and go, yep, that's like that event? Yes. Oh, the Jesus.
100% the president, Macron, has to see it to prove it, because it is a representation of your country while you're the leader.
Thank you so much. So I don't know if you guys saw this, and Rob, if you could pull this up. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vagano, PBD, he commented on this on a letter. Do you have the letter that I sent you, Rob? That's it right there, PBD. I don't want to get into the whole thing. You want me to read this thing?
Just give me the.
Okay, so
what's he talking
he's
about?
going after how horrible it is and disgusting and vile. But the one thing that stuck out for me, if my phone will give me this second, is the second part. The second part, which you're going to trip out. Rob, keep going. Keep going. It starts with Lord and God. On the second page, there's 2 pages. There we go. He says, Lord and God. It is no coincidence that one is sponsoring this revolting carnival is an emissary of the World Economic Forum, Emmanuel Macron, who passes off a transvestite as his own wife with impunity.
Who's this?
This is Archbishop who, Rob? Vagano?
Carlo M. Vagano.
Carlo M. Vagano. Are you ready? This is no joke. I thought it was a joke.
Who is he, though? I want to know who this guy is. Is he just a regular person saying this?
He's he's an archbishop that was excommunicated because of his views of being anti all this woke stuff. That's the guy that they excommunicated.
And where is he from? He's an Italian. Where's he based out of? So from 2011 to 2016 was the Secretary General, the governor.
In the Vatican. He was
Vatican City State from 2009 to 2000. He is known for his having publicized the Vatican leak scandal of 2012, in which he revealed financial corruption in the Vatican.
So he's a whistleblower. He's a whistleblower. So he says it's the World Emmanuel Macron, who passes off a transvestite, his own wife, with impunity, just as Barack Obama is accompanied by a muscular man in a wig. It is the reign of mystification, of falsehood, of fiction erected as a totem, which man is disfigured precisely because he was created in the image and likeness of God. I think, and Pat, this just what's happening, what they're pushing, and it reminds me of, and Tom, remember the Bible that I bought while we were on vacation? Genesis 19. Lot, when the angels came to visit Lot. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And it was the town, Pat, was just in, they were, wickedness and sodomy and sex. God sent 2 angels to go to Lot's house, and they're like, hey, we want to go see the city. And Lot was like, no, don't go there. Stay with me. And that day, all these guys came, and they're like, we want to have sex. There was just debauchery. And that's when God was like, Sodom and Gomorrah, burn the whole place down. And they 4 years ago, they discovered that place is actually real. It's disgusting.
So the guy who did it, the director's name is Thomas Jolly, I believe, right? Can you pull up Thomas Jolly?
And did you hear him trying to oh, no, everything is art. No, that's not art. That's purposeful mockery of Christian faith and Christian religion. And you nailed it, Pat. What happened? Can you imagine if that was Muhammad? Let's take a second. If they did when's the last time somebody made fun of Muhammad? Adam, Charlie Hebdo? And what happened?
Well, I mean, there's been more since then.
But what I'm saying is, why is it always
well? Is the point?
Yeah, but it's always against Christians. It's always against us. And the drag queen that lit the torch or whatever, carried the torch, was like, yes, and we're going to keep doing it. The attitude is like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And that's the guy right there. And his attitude is like, we don't know. Everything is art. Just like Balenciaga, when they had kids in bondage, it's art. What they did at Target, it's art. Bud Light, transgender. No, we're trying new things.
Here's how I process this. So Thomas Jolly, is not at fault, okay? He's a capitalist, okay? He capitalized off the Olympics to become famous, that now everybody knows who he is, okay? He's an actual capitalist. He capitalized off of this opportunity. My problem is with 2 people. One is France, Macron, who funded this opening, but you know who number 2 is? Number 2 to me is the Committee of Olympics who approved this. So there's a lineage that everything goes through. I can start an insurance product and go to my actuaries and say, hey guys, we're going to put a life insurance product that's going to give a rate of return in the general account of 38%, right? I can say that. We're going to give 38%, all right? Guess who has to approve that product? The Department of Insurance. How many different states? 50 different states. Guess what the Department of Insurance by state's going to say? No, we're not approving this product. So first, Thomas Jolly, he didn't do anything wrong in my eyes. He is a capitalist. He's a queer. He's an open query LGBTQ, by the way, that's openly coming out and saying, yeah, guess what I'm going to represent? You're an Assyrian, right? If you go out there and you get an opportunity to speak on the big stage at the RNC, what are you going to tell about the audience or who you are? An audience that's never seen you before. What are you going to tell them?
I'm veteran, Assyrian, parents, legal immigrants.
Why are you saying those three things?
To let them know exactly who I am.
Are you proud of those three
1,000%.
Because this guy's proud of being an LGBTQ queer.
Yeah.
That's what he's proud of.
Yeah.
So set him aside. I don't really care what Thomas Jolly did. Quite frankly, I go to a show in Vegas. It's called Absent. I don't know if you've been to it or not. It's a very weird show.
In Vegas?
It's Vegas.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I've been
Vegas.
there, yes.
It's a phenomenal show, but it's for adults. Yes. Jen and I have gone twice, and we laugh every single time. It's so funny, right? You just don't take kids with you. So second is France. This is intentional. Macron knew what he was doing.
For sure.
Okay? But third is the committee. Who the hell in the committee thought this was a good idea to launch to kids? That's what I want to know. Because the accountability goes tier, tier, tier. Then there's also one other one left for me. You know what the other one is for me? The other one left for me is the mainstream media, NBC, who collected the $1.3 billion. You approve this? You approve this. So let me get this straight, NBC. I got a question for you guys. Would you have approved if I'm the country that's doing the opening, you come to us, let's just say we're, I don't know, pick a country. We're Qatar. We are, Germany. We are Spain. We are whatever it is. We want our opening to be a 20-minute sermon about Jesus Christ. We want to read out of the Bible, and our entire opening is to actually show what happened, the resurrection. We want that to be the opening. NBC, would you approve that? Would you take money? Would you take money on ads on that? Would you approve that, NBC? I'm just curious. Or would you say, no, there's no way, we can't approve this. This has to be changed. So who had influence over this? I'm going to put France. I'm going to put the company that collected $1.3 billion of advertisement, and I'm going to put the committee. Those three must be held accountable. The thing you read about Michelle Obama and Macron, all this other stuff, I'm not even going there. I don't even know why we went there. I don't want to go there. Those three, set those aside. There's a million different examples we could have taken instead of reading that. That guy's upset at those two. It is what it is. The basic logical area to come from on what it is without accusations and making mockery of all these other things is to just go here. What was the benefit of this? What is the benefit of this? Do we want more kids to be part of the LGBTQ community? Is that what benefits? I don't know if it is or not. I think this was a travesty. I think it was a missed opportunity. And by the way, you know what Russia did with this? Did you hear what Russia did with this? Did you see the Russia's commercial that they made? Have you seen it yet?
No.
Rob, have you seen it?
I have not.
Let me text it to you. So here's what Russia did. Russia said, if you really want the Olympics to be good again, let us do it. Okay, I'll send you this to you,
Like in Sochi?
which is kind of funny, Rob, for you to share this with the audience.
And Rob, and Pat, while you're looking at that, here's my thing with the guy that put it together. Why is there a child knelt down and they're being disgusting around him, and the guy's testicle is hanging out? That is a decision by him and everybody else going, let's put an 8-year-old right next to the guy whose shorts are. That's
his religion.
That's
though.
disgusting.
But
though.
that's what he believes in, though, Vinny.
How is that legal, though, Pat?
It's not about. This is France, and he said, "This is France." The leader of France said, "This is France." Like, what are you going to say about it? He's already seen it. He's approved it. Watch what Russia did. Play this clip for what Russia's saying. Go ahead.
10. Количество трансгендеров и других представителей ЛГБТ, участвующих в Олимпийских играх, достигло рекордного числа. В результате чего Олимпиада была переименована в Олимпидиаду. Спортсмены соревнуются в таких дисциплинах, как ЛГБ-теннис, лесби-яхтинг, трансгребля, фехтованус, скалолизанье, клубничный гандбол с усиками, сосерфинг, педигория, пихванда, свингольф.
Who put this out? Who distributed this?
Russia.
No, but like RTV, did Putin's office who actually put it out there?
This is an older video, yeah. But what they're doing is they're making fun of what everybody is doing. Like, it's getting a little bit out of control. By the way, question for you. If you right now, out of all the countries, were to pick and choose, nothing against, I just want you to process this. If you were to trust one country to do the next Olympics, that you know stuff like that is not going to happen in the opening, what country do you think it would be?
You'd probably
Out
be
of
Russia.
all of them?
Out of all the countries.
It would probably be
Russia or Saudi Arabia.
Or like Summer Olympics in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Okay, well, give the name. So you got what? You got Russia,
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. You think Saudi would put anything like that with LGBTQ?
Are you?
Who else? Give me the next one.
They would kill the person that
Who
approved
else?
it.
Iran would
Dubai.
do a great job.
Dubai.
Which is far more neutral than Saudi.
Who else? So far you got.
You just had the World Cup in Qatar.
Well, gays for Palestine, so they'd probably do it.
Yeah, the Gaza.
Gays for Gaza, whatever.
Here's the point. The point is, where would U.S. rank if right now the U.S. Olympics go 2028? If it's happening here, what's the likelihood that there's going to be a messaging of what they just did here in the 2020?
100. If America, 100%, 100%. I wouldn't be surprised if the torch is lit and some gay guy goes and shuts
What are the
himself.
What are the upcoming list of host cities?
Yeah, find that out. Well, I think it depends on who's in office at the time. Hear me out.
God.
So the question that I have right now is, can Christianity and Judeo-Christian values coexist with the LGBT agenda? You know, you see this sign on bumper stickers, coexist, coexist,
Yeah,
coexist. So I would make the argument you can coexist if you don't blatantly disrespect. So in the last 6 months, 8 months, we've seen a few different holidays juxtaposed with LGBT agenda. So, you know, the numbers on this were actually incredible, the viewership, which I'll give you in a second. But here you have them in 5 minutes. This was a 5 minute of a 4-hour Olympic opening, and it took 5 minutes to disrespect Judeo-Christian values in the Christian community. So did you have to do a parody of the Last Supper to basically advocate LGBT? Did you really have to do that? Now, number two, on Easter, it was also, do you recall the holiday?
Yeah.
Transgender Day of Visibility.
Visibility.
On Easter.
They had to bring it up, yeah.
Now, I remember you did a little parody of, during Christmas, Joe Biden invited who to the White House?
All the LGBT.
It was the LGBT
parade.
Jesus of Nazareth Christmas parade. So my suggestion of the LGBT community, are you intentionally trying to create enemies? Or is this just haphazardly showing up in your agenda? So there's a difference between respecting and disrespecting. And the number one thing you always talk about is tolerance. At what point are Christians like, nah, bro, we can't do this anymore? Because you could have done a million different other things during the Olympics. You had to single out the Last Supper?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
It's disrespectful.
But you know why, Adam? Because they know that Christians, and how long you've been saying this, are so tolerant. Yeah, they were pissed off. What happened? It takes Andrew Tate went to, where was he? He was in some embassy in France, in Romania, and they were trying to mess with him. And he's like, I'm a Muslim. He goes, why am I more upset than you guys are upset? And what it is, like, it's unbelievable. Adam, you're right, because they know, let me explain to you, that group knows Christians aren't going to do anything.
But
they're going to turn the cheek. They're going to.
Can I tell you if you want to just filter this down, the lowest common denominator, this comes down to men and women. So Andrew Tate, sort of like the face of masculinity. Men are more disagreeable than women. You're going to see men go out there and say, dude, I don't play this shit. But you don't see women doing this. And that's the fundamental situation going on here, is that, and if this get into politics, this will get into Kamala, this will get into abortion, what have you. Men aren't playing this game. Men are staying as conservative always, whereas women have shifted so far to the left that they don't want to criticize anything, and anything is acceptable.
Well, of course, and that's what killed the feminist movement. Remember, it was like, men are horrible, men are the worst. But then men started dressing as women. They're like, oh, live your
what's
truth.
A woman?
We love you. What's a woman? Full of shit. That whole movement was destroyed, and I absolutely love it.
And this is why you have The View commending this, and you have people like Andrew Tate and even everyone here on the home team disrespecting this. But don't get it twisted. The numbers were up from this Olympics. If you look at this article, the Paris Olympics opening ceremony viewership sees gold medal results for NBC Universal from a huge rise from Tokyo. The opening ceremony attracted nearly 29 million viewers, a 60% increase from 2021 in Tokyo, and 8% over the 2016 Rio opening ceremony. So everything went well in 4 hours. Celine Dion, Lady Gaga, what have you. It took 5 minutes for this great ceremony to become a disaster.
Yeah, and by the way, a lot of people are not going to be watching it. I'm just telling you right now.
I haven't watched 1 second.
The level of, like, for me, to even put that on. My dad loves the Olympics. So guess what my dad does? Wakes up early just to watch the Olympics. That's what my dad is. He's 82 years old. He's connected to this. You think I'm sitting there having my kids get too caught up into this stuff here? No. I'm more focused on the BID Olympics and the David household. It's way more important.
It's more important.
All right, let's go to the next story. Tom, Florida housing market is seeing nightmare scenarios as buyers back out due to affordability concerns, Redfin says. This is page 15. If you want to go to it. By the way, today's notes, guys, I wish very soon you're going to get our notes as we go do this podcast. Today's notes are the size of a Bible. So we need 9 hours for today's podcast. Okay.
God, we prayed.
So Florida's housing market is experiencing nightmare scenario. Around 21% of home purchase agreements canceled in June. That's 1 in 5. In cities like Orlando, Tampa, significantly higher than the national average of 15%. Rafael Corrales, a Redfin agent in Miami, noted that the deals are often canceled last minute due to minor issues. But the real underlying cause is affordability. Home prices in the U.S. hit a record high, 442 in June, and elevated borrowing costs with a 30-year fixed mortgages at 6.7% are deterring buyers. The Sun Belt, particularly states like Florida and Texas, is seeing rapid drops in home prices as supply outpaces demand. Inventory in Florida has climbed up to 50% compared to last year. And real estate experts, including Nick Gurley, predicts prices in the region could fall as much as 15% due to overvaluation. Tom, thoughts on the story?
Well, all this is putting front and center the affordability crisis in houses. And it very, very simple. Interest rates went up. Remember all of 2022, Jerome Powell was upstairs pounding the cheerleader. And the interest rates were up. Remember, we came back to that. Yep. The interest rates went way up. And people didn't want to sell their home in New Jersey to move to Florida because when they get down to Florida, they had to get a much more expensive mortgage, so they don't sell their home. Boom. So that caused supply to be low. So the people that did have the money and the credit and the capability to buy, including Florida, where you had, I believe it was 24% cash buyers, they end up causing the prices to go up because there's two people bidding for the few homes for sale. So now the homes are up. So when someone goes to buy it, it's a more expensive payment. But now the interest rates were over 7%. Now it's a more expensive payment on top of that. And what is happening is now the news media is catching on to the affordability crisis. Here's what happens. You can go offer to buy a house and show that you've got the down payment. But one of the buyer contingencies to cancel the contract is you have to show you can get your financing. And a lot of people will have a pre-qualifying letter. Look, I checked with the bank, I'm pre-qualified. That doesn't mean pre-approved. So now you get into the contract to go buy the house. Guess what happens, Vinny? They say, show us the approval letter. And you usually have 14 days, 21 days to show it. Show me your approval letter. The bank goes, well, hang on a second. We've just added up the property taxes and the home insurance and the payment. And it has to be well under 40% of your gross salary per month. That's called your back-end ratio. That's how they qualify you. They prefer it to be around 35. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, you can't. You're offering a price for the house that's going to be like a 45% of your total income is going to go to this house. You can't afford it. We can't approve you. So now the buyers can't get their approvals. Bang, here comes the headline. Contract canceled. So then you'll see, if you go on Zoom or Redfin, Zillow or Redfin, you'll see things that say accepting backup offers. Why are they accepting backup offers? Because just in case the buyers can't complete it. And that's what's going on. So the affordability crisis is the cost of the home being high and the interest rates being high. People that do have enough down payment, it only takes 10%, in Florida at least, where there's talking about, they're not getting through the deal.
So this is good for me then.
Well, it's good for you because there'll be more things for you available for you. But what it says is that the market is tough. And what we were talking about last time, yeah, do we hope the federal government, the Fed, takes down interest rates? Do we hope that? Yeah, we do. That's going to help. But the other thing is people got to make their own decisions and be responsible. You can't sit on the sideline and be a victim. Oh, someday I'll have a house. I don't have it.
I will say something, though, Tom. The moment rates start going, there's going to be buyers. You know what kind of markets? In markets like ours, like the one we're in right now.
I agree.
The moment rates drop, watch the floodgates open of buyers coming back on. The biggest thing right now, Vinny, which is going to be an element of
sellers
luck.
will put houses out there.
Here's do you think they're going to lower rates in September?
Yes, I do. I think we're going to get a 0.25 rate cut. I've been calling that since February.
I think an offer in August, like to compete, is like the offer to do is in like last week of August. Or what's the next one? November that you're looking at? November is the next one?
Yeah, September, and then, it'll be, it goes in, I think it might.
End of August, making an offer would be decent, because if rates go, you're going to get buyers. Again, you're living in a place that people want to live in. And you know what they're saying right now about Fort Lauderdale? People are no longer moving to Miami. They're moving to Fort Lauderdale. Have you seen this recent story that picked up? That people are coming up and saying the better place to move is Fort Lauderdale because you're going to save, and it's the traffic is not as crazy. The airport is better. You still have access to restaurants. You're in the middle between Palm Beach and Miami. To everybody listening to this, I'm just making stuff up. Go to Miami.
Don't come here.
Go to Miami or go to Jupiter or go to Palm Beach.
Hollywood.
Fort Lauderdale absolutely
Orlando's
sucks. Don't
nice.
come here, right? No, but the point with Fort Lauderdale being the fact that's in the middle, that's the benefit, and people are coming here. So the demand for here is actually going to go like this.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen with Fort Lauderdale. Yes.
I'll give you a little perspective. So I think it all depends on who you are and who you want to be. There's certain people that should definitely be looking into buying right now, and there's certain people that should actually not even focus on trying to buy at all right now. It all depends on your situation. It depends on your time frame, and it depends on your agenda. If you're a guy or a family that's starting with kids and you're really looking for a thing, I fully agree with Pat that you should be starting to look as rates start to drop. But if you're a single dude out there or a single female out there and you don't have a family, you don't have an agenda, there's nothing wrong with renting right now, because the reality is this. It comes down to affordability. Are housing and apartments and are they expensive or are they cheap? Well, the answer is very clear. It's the most expensive they've ever been in American history. The average price of a median house just hit a record high, $442,000. So if you're going to the store, if you're going to Abercrombie and Fitch, you're going to the Gap, you're going to Banana Republic, and you're like, all right, this shirt typically costs $60, but now it's on sale for $80. Well, that doesn't seem right to me. Let me just wait for it to be worth selling for $50 or $40, what have you. But it comes down to supply, man. Now, what are the two states?
This is a good time if you want to tell them. By the way, just for everybody, Adam's doing a meetup at Gap store tonight.
Gap at 8 p.m.
The one in Aventura. Gap tonight at 7 p.m.
7:30 after the AI webinar. Well, we'll see you at the Gap, guys. By the way, this segment is sponsored by Gap. But the reality is...
only for Adam, though.
What are the two states that have had the most... people move to them.
Texas and Florida.
Texas and Florida.
Florida's the best place to live in all of America right now.
So it's not a secret that a lot of people have been moving here. Here's the number. Inventory has climbed by up to 50%. So what does that mean? Let's take it back to the pandemic. Everyone's looking to buy a house.
Inventory of what? Tell people. I know what you're saying. Tell people what you're saying.
Of houses.
For sale.
For sale.
Up 50% versus
why is that? Because they overbuilt. This happens all the time. You ever see the cranes in Miami or in Fort Lauderdale? They're building, but that's just a good thing. So there's a correction. Oh my God, we overbuilt a little too much. Okay, cool. Let's see what happens here. Everything's going to come down to an equilibrium. But the bottom line is Florida, Texas, you can't go wrong buying if your strategy is waiting 5-10 years.
He's right about Florida and Texas. Okay. The inventory, people are moving here. Guys, $1 trillion of money under management. This report came out, and this is probably the most devastating news to New York and California. $1 trillion. You know, like how much money you got in the bank. Just think about how much money you got in your 401k. Just think about how much money you got in your, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, how much money you have. Count all that money. $1 trillion of that kind of money, your kind of money, $1 trillion total, left California, left New York. $1 trillion. Wow. Left California. Majority of the money that left California went to Texas. Majority of the money that left New York the last 4 years, that $1 trillion of assets under management, moved to Florida. When that money goes into that market, prices go up. And so Florida and Texas is not the same decision-making process as some of the other markets that lost the $1 trillion. Those are two different markets. But let me get to the next one here. U.S. home insurers suffer worst loss in century. Okay? Let's go through this one here. Yep. So U.S. home insurance suffered $15.2 billion of net underwriting loss last year, the worst since at least 2000, and more than double the previous year's losses, driven by natural disasters, inflation, and population growth in at-risk areas. Keyword, population growth in at-risk areas. What is population growth? Where did it go to? Florida. What's at risk? Florida is one of them, right? Hurricanes. Robert Gordon highlighted that escalating coverage demands and skyrocketing insured losses are due to more homes in high-risk areas and rising construction costs. He noted that the increasing frequency and severity of weather-driven losses as a major uncertainty affecting the market, regulatory constraints in states like California, delay pricing approvals, the fires in California, exacerbating market deterioration. Gordon urged stakeholders to work together for sustainability. By the way, that's a key word. Stakeholders, meaning the Department of Insurance and the insurance carriers, you guys, and the state, you guys got to, because this is not like insurance, you're bad people, you're so expensive. They're not making money, and they're leaving state. So they're saying, listen, you don't want us? We're out. We're totally fine with this. It's not like we're negotiating because we're trying to get the better deal. To work together for sustainability, while Manem pointed out regulators struggle to balance attracting insurance and maintaining affordability for consumers. So this is a problem for both sides. States fear insurers leaving. Insurers fear that states going to demonize them so much there's no profit margin for them to even stay in the states. That's what's going on. Tom, your thoughts?
So one of the things here, California delaying pricing approvals. When Pat just talks about the Department of Insurance and the insurance regulators that are at the state level, in California, they set what's called the span. It's a pricing span that they allowed to raise rates or here or there, because what they're trying to do is ensure that there's affordable insurance in California, and that maybe pick a company. Insurance company A is doing business in Galveston, Texas, and there's a lot of risk down there because it's on the coast where the hurricanes come. And then they're also doing business in, California, in an area not affected by wildfires. They don't want the insurance guys to raise the price in California to help subsidize Houston and go back and forth, because the insurance people are running a nationwide business. So you also have the state regulators delaying approvals, and you've got the person that gets stuck in the middle and screwed is the consumer. The consumer's trying to get coverage for their home because they have to get coverage for their home because they have a mortgage on it. And Wells Fargo says, hey, you have to maintain loss coverage on your house and give me the policy number so that I know that you've got coverage. So if there's earthquake or fire or whatever, it's going to pay to rebuild it. Well, then the insurance people are going, well, I got to raise the rate on here so I can make a buck. And the other part of it, here's what's chasing the insurance carrier. Cost of labor and drywall and common construction materials are up 30% in 3 years. So what does that do to the cost to the insurer if your house burns down? It costs them more to rebuild it than they had estimated when they told you it was $300 for your insurance. Yeah. So they lost money on the policy and didn't have the money to do it. I mean, we're all in insurance here, and I think there's a lot of perspectives here at the table. But the one that really gets nailed is the consumer, because in California, they'll delay the pricing approval, and then suddenly you have a 20% year-over-year pop, which happened in car insurance, specifically in California.
Go to the number. By the way, do you know last year, out of all the costs that increased the most, everything, payment, food, clothing, auto insurance, home insurance, out of all of them, you know what increased the most last year price point wise? Did you see the number? Car insurance up 21%. Rob, can you pull this up? Just tap in car auto insurance 21%.
Just moving here, Pat, it doubled for me.
Damn straight, and that's almost single year, Pat. Pat's talking about single year, not multi-year. When we talk about 30% inflation in the grocery store,
look at that.
That's 3 years.
February 2024, the average cost of car insurance in U.S. has increased 21% year over year, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And by the way, when they broke it down, so let's just say, Vinny, you're running $1 billion a year business, okay? And you look like a CEO, so you're running $1 billion a year business the way you're dressed, okay? And all of a sudden, you notice that, the amount of cars being stolen has skyrocketed, where you're having to pay insurance out of your money that you have in your account. It's being depleted more and more and more and more and more. And you notice, man, the cost for this is ridiculous. So you increase 5%, you're breaking even. You increase 10% to make 5% profits, you're still breaking even. You increase 15%, You're still losing 6%. You increase 21%. Everybody says, why did you increase it 21%? And they say, guys, we're not making money. So then what's the next move you're going to do as a CEO? You're going to go to your guys and you're going to say, show me the best margins by state. That's exactly what you're going to do. What state do we make the biggest profit margin on? And you're going to have an Excel spreadsheet that breaks down all the states.
And we're moving.
And no, you're actually not moving. You're actually doing the following. So it's going to say, let's just say Oklahoma. I'm making up numbers. Your profit margin there is 29%. Kansas, 27%. South Dakota, 22%. And you'll rank the top 15. You'll notice at the bottom, it'll say California, minus 28%. Texas, minus 27%. New York, minus 26%. You have to sit there and say, guys, we're doing one of two things. Either you increase the rates and be a niche competitor where you're purely in the niche insurance business. You're not trying to be to everybody, and you stay in that state. Where you decide, like in insurance, there's companies that you can go and look at term insurance companies. Some companies sell term insurance so cheap, but on the back end, they're not doing anything. But it's so cheap for healthy non-smokers, and that's it. Super expensive for anybody about 45. You get to decide who you're going to make that insurance cheap for and expensive for. Yeah. And you'll say, guys, the only thing I'm interested in giving term insurance policy for, if you're under 40, non-smoker, you're not heavy, I'm going to give it to you cheaper than anybody else in the market. What if I'm over 40, heavy, and I'm a smoker? We're going to be the most expensive in the market. That's all these guys are going to do. Florida, California, some of these states with high risk, or some of these cars that are being stolen in Chicago, Illinois, you're simply going to say, we're not trying to win that market. Increase the price, let them leave us to somebody else. You have to make that choice. But it's purely economical. FYI, to those that are bashing insurance companies, I'm not in the auto insurance space. I've never sold an auto insurance policy, but I've had auto insurance over the years. You don't want them to leave your state. That's all I'm going to tell you. You do not want them to leave your state. So if in your city, your zip code, there's a lot of cars being stolen, the Department of Insurance, you call in to get an insurance policy for your car, and there's a lot of theft in your city because crime is bad, because the sheriff you voted for is soft on crime, unlike Sheriff Judd. You know what happens to your auto insurance? Department of Insurance simply looks at how much theft is there, twice the price. So it also matters how you vote locally in your community to make sure crime is down, so auto insurance prices go down. It matters. All of this matters. Adam.
So, I've been in the insurance industry for 18 years, but, I do something different.
You've never told me, but this is good to know.
That's crazy. I'm glad we just met.
Yeah.
But what I do is something different than what you guys have done, because I do essentially the reverse side of the insurance. Here's what I've learned about insurance.
But it's very important on breaking that down to the audience so they know it's math.
I will, and I'll break that down. But insurance at the end of the day is what I would call a necessary evil. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Whether it's life insurance, whether that's health insurance, whether that's car insurance, whether that's home insurance, it's a balance. It's, okay, should I get this? Can I afford it? Do I need it? What's going to happen if I get in a car accident and I don't have insurance? Or am I going to self-insure? What's going to happen if I have kids and I don't have life insurance and God forbid something happens? Oh my God, what's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen if a flood, a hurricane, a storm, a tornado hits my house and I don't have insurance? Can I pay for it myself? Should I self-fund it? Should I pay the premiums? What's going to go on here? It's this balance that you kind of have to grapple with, of whether you want to pay out of pocket or pay the insurance company. Now, the insurance companies have also a balance that they need to sort of figure out, and that is how can states attract insurers but also maintain affordability for customers? Now, in my business, in the life settlement world, here's the conversation I see every single day. There's something called COIs, cost of insurance increases. And I get calls like this. Hey, man, I used to be paying $1,200 a month. Now they want me to pay $2,500 a month. Hey, man, I used to pay $5,000 a year. Now they want me to pay $25,000 a year. And I sit there and I say, okay, well, what do you want to do? And they say, dude, I want the insurance, but I don't want to pay these premiums. It's crazy. So that's how my business basically brokers a deal and buys them out. But the whole premise of having insurance is because, hide your kids right now, because shit happens. It's, oh shit, insurance. Oh shit. The question you need to answer is, do you want to pay for it on the front end or the back end? The insurance is the front end, or God forbid something happens. Oh shit, something happens. They say that shit happens. all the time, are you going to pay for it on the back end? So
got it.
It's a necessary evil one way or
now,
another.
Let me talk about something very important, near and dear to two men at this table that they have to be ready for. And this is serious. This is a crisis. So I'm calling an epidemic. So let's go through it. 56% of people would RSVP no to a close friend's wedding to save money. Okay? This is terrible, Vinny, Adam. Which means 56% of people you invite to your wedding, they're going to be like, no, bro, I can't make it. Here's a $20 gift card to Starbucks. A Bank of America survey reveals 56% of Americans would decline a close friend's wedding invitation if they couldn't afford it, with older individuals more comfortable saying no. Gen Z and millennials are less likely to skip weddings compared to Gen X and boomers. Experts suggest ways to manage wedding costs, such as selectively attending events. Consider which wedding events are must attend and which ones you could skip to save costs, said Allison Coleman, wedding expert and vice president of brand marketing at Zola. To further curb expenses, pooling money for group gifts and sharing accommodation costs are recommended. Ask other guests if they'd be willing to chip in on one of the pricier gifts. By the way, that's what David did. Remember, David was like, we want to get this for Sam. Advises Hannah Nowak. He probably read this article. Senior editor at The Knot, sharing a hotel room with a friend can also make attending more affordable, she adds. Adam, does this concern you?
This is very concerning for people out there. I'm sort of past my influx of wedding phases, but this is actually very serious, especially if you're in your early 30s. Let me explain why. So I grew up here in Miami. All my friends, I'm still friends with all of them. Everyone got married in like a 2-3 year window, right around age 30, give or take. So what happens is it's not just the wedding. This is something that every guy has to consider out there. By the way, typically I say the guys, because you're the one that's paying for your girl to come with you. You're the one that's paying for the flight, typically. You're the one that's typically given the gift. Obviously, the women will pay sometimes as well, but it's usually the man. So hear me out. But it's not just the wedding. It's a three-pronged situation. You have the engagement party, you have the bachelor or bachelorette party, and then you have the wedding. So this situation between Greg and Lisa is going to cost you, give or take, $3,000 to $5,000 each wedding. So you have the bachelor party, you're probably going to spend $1,000. You have the engagement party, you're going to spend a gift. Where is it now? Where's the wedding? Is it a destination wedding? Is it in town? Are you getting a gift? If it's a destination wedding, do you actually have to give a gift? Because I just spent $1,500 on hotel, flights, everything like that. So each wedding is going to cost you several $1,000s. Now here's the thing: how many close friends do you have? I went through a time span where literally every single weekend I had an engagement party, I had a bachelor party, I had a wedding, where I was like, I'm spending $25,000 over the next 2 years on weddings alone. And so you have to make a decision. So what I said was, listen, bro, I'm going to come to your wedding. I'm not no engagement party, or I'm not going to give a gift for this. Or if the bachelor party is in Miami, I'll go. I'm not flying to Vegas for the 15th time. So you have to make a decision what you can afford, because if you just do every single event, give a gift and get flights, hotels, everything, you will go broke.
Oh, especially when, like, that's the worst when somebody's like, yeah, we're going to go to Bora Bora for the wedding and we're going to be on horses. No. And here's my thing. Like, you guys, by the way, yeah, we're going to ride horses. No, I'm not.
Horses and Bora Bora.
I don't even want that time, because somebody tried to invite me to a wedding and they're like, yeah, we're going to skydive. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm going to send you cash. You guys are talking about insurance. Adam, you pay all that money. Yep. Shouldn't there be an insurance for weddings where it's like, listen, if you jerks get divorced in a year, I want money back. I want Adam, Pat, wedding insurance,
like a $3,000 term policy. If they get divorced, you get the $3,000.
I get the $3,000 because guess what? Then that'll give them more incentive to, like, I'm gonna leave you. Like, no, honey, we're gonna have to pay all 200 guests all their money back. Let's stick it out. It's ridiculous. It's like, and so people know now. People know now.
Strategic.
Pat, just send me cash. Like, if I was getting married, but guys, none of you show up. Just send money, like Zelensky. Send money. Give money.
Like
give money.
Buying puts to protect against a divorce.
You have to be very strategic these days. Yeah. So didn't we cover the other day how people,
I don't want to stay on this for too long.
People are doing.
Send me money.
There's a simple solution. I have a simple solution. Become a licensed pastor. They throw in a free lunch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Send money, please.
Look, we'll simplify this and we'll move on.
Yeah.
I said this, I think it was 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Mario is the last wedding I'm doing that I'm a best man for. From there on, I'm retired. I don't want to be a best man. I'm not a good best man. I'm just going to be the guy that's sitting on the sideline. Show up to your wedding, all of that stuff. And we get so many wedding invites nowadays. I love it. You guys are amazing. Some of the wedding invites want us to go to Greece, want us to go to Australia, want us to go out to all these different places. Congratulations to you. We wish you guys nothing but the very best. But unless if it's a Armenian, Persian, Assyrian wedding
Andy,
that is local, okay, that's going to have 400 or 500 people that are going to be dancing to that kind of music, that I can come with a party of 5 that we can dance collectively, I would entertain it. Aside from that, God bless you.
Yeah.
Have a great wedding, whoever it is. I actually subscribe to this article.
PBD, I just want you to be looking for the RSVP for a Jewish wedding that might be coming up in the next year.
That's an expensive one. Those weddings, they ask you for like a house or a mortgage payment for the first 6 months.
Maybe you throw the party at your house. You never know.
I don't have a problem with that. That I will entertain. Okay. All right, let's go into the next story here. Do we want to go to Venezuela?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's go to Venezuela. All right, so government opposition both claim Venezuela election win. Official results question. This is a Reuters story. Craziness going on in Venezuela that even Musk is involved with this thing here. Let's read both stories and then we'll go from there. Maduro, an opposition candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, both claim victory in Venezuela's presidential election. The National Electoral Authority announced Maduro's win with 51% of the vote, but Gonzalez, supported by Maria Corina Machado, argued he had secured 70%, with independent exit polls are suggesting a significant opposition win. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken expressed serious concern that the official results did not reflect the people's votes. Isolated incidents of violence occurred before the results. Rob, if you have some of the clips to show, were announced, including a death in Táchira state and scuffles in Caracas. Machado urged the military to uphold the true vote, stating voters had made clear they do not want Maduro. Despite this, Venezuelan military had historically supported Maduro, showing no signs of breaking from the government. And then The Sun does this other story, which there's a clip for this. Venezuelans risk civil war as both Putin's pal and oppositions declare war. Venezuela risks civil war as both to claim victory in president. Official results show, okay, same numbers. So, I mean, similar story here on what's going on. Rob, do you have a clip to show about what's going on? Is this it? Play this clip. Play this clip, Rob. Is this the southern border or Venezuela?
Wait. Is this El Paso? I'm sorry.
Dude, yeah. Well, you hear them shooting? They're actually shooting at...
they're tear gassing the people in the back there, okay?
Yeah, but they're saying that they were firing on them. Well, somebody's playing an instrument.
Go to Musk's tweet about this, Rob. If you can go to Elon Musk. Musk just tweeted about this a couple times. If you just go to, zoom in a little bit so we can see it. So that's one. Let me see what he says.
That's what he called him. But he called him a. He's like, he's the problem. I sent it to Rob. Wait, I'll read it to you, Pat. He said, where's the Maduro? Oh, yeah. He said,
the donkey knows more than
online is controlled by the arch enemy, the famous Elon Musk, who wants to come with his rockets to invade Venezuela. We know you are behind everything with your money and satellites. You want to control the world. That's what he said.
Oh, he's saying that about Elon Musk.
He's saying that about Elon Musk. And mind you, just a couple of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has fled from the Miraflores palace, and they are not happy. They are not.
Go to the next clip because he's got a couple tweets about Venezuela. If you can go back, go a little lower, Rob.
While you're looking it up, Western News was saying that they had actually broke perimeter and there were citizens and people rebelling into the palace.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday around 7 p.m. Eastern, that they broke perimeter.
That's the one right there. It says Maria Corina Machado, we have 73% of votes cast. We have all the minutes published, pinned, printed, verified. They will have to ratify the truth. Keep going it. The truth is what we all saw yesterday in streets of Venezuela. All minutes verified, inspected, tallied, scanned, digitized, and placed. Can you show, Vinny, the clip that you have that shows what happens with all of a
Robbie,
sudden?
can you send that? Yeah, guys, just out of curiosity, Rob has a chart. What does this remind you guys? Some of you guys, are still in the dark, but what does that remind you guys of? That's Venezuela's election graph, and that's Georgia's election graph. It's so weird.
You know what this means?
What?
That there's also a lot of people in Venezuela that are on the night shift and have to vote suddenly at 1 a.m.
Yeah, and so I want to make a point. So what's happening there, Tom, and I'm being very, very honest. that type of thing could happen here. Because let's go back to 2000.
I was being very obviously sarcastic.
But look at that. Like, there's no
thought you were serious. But go ahead. You're
words
saying,
talk, numbers scream, and those numbers are screaming.
Tom, are you being
unusual.
sarcastic or serious?
No, he's being serious.
I'm
right
being
now.
serious. Words talk, numbers scream, and there is a scream in both of those graphs that just looks very, very wrong.
And then, Rob, I'm going to have you go to the timeline but after this. But so let's go back. And what I'm saying is that could happen here, meaning let's go back to 2020, all right? Americans thought that their government cheated, and they did. And we called it what last week, Pat? Election fraud or election interference, which both equal Maine, it's cheating. So January 6th, they went to the Capitol to protest, which I respect, and I'll tell you why. They went to the heart of the problem. They thought, and they were right, that their government cheated. They didn't burn down their city. They didn't kill their fellow neighbor. They went to the heart of the problem, okay? And yes, once they were there, people like Ray Epps and the undercover, allegedly FBI, people that were in there agitating, they made them go crazy, okay? And what scares me is, PBD, in November, if they do this shit again, where that type of chart, that overnight Biden who never left the basement, and it's this jump, and we're pissed off, that's going to be the spark to light the fire. Because think about it, they tried to kill our nominee. They tried to kill Donald Trump. Let's just be honest with each other, and we did nothing. There was no riots. We didn't burn down Washington. We didn't do shit. Sorry for my language. We stayed strong. We're like, okay, let's see what happens. If they do that in November, I'm telling you right now, people, they're trying to push us. I'm not saying I want it to happen, Pat, but they're pushing us to the point where we're like, guys, enough is enough. And I'm so proud of the Venezuelan people. They don't even have guns, which it's kind of scary, but they are fighting back, and they're not letting it. They're not letting it go. They're not. And this guy just fled his palace. So good for them. And I pray for all of them out there that they're safe.
Let me just bring it back to what's going on in Venezuela. So I have a very good girlfriend of mine that's just from Venezuela, and she's actually been kind of educating me on this. And by the way, in Miami, we have so many Venezuelans that have showed up here over the last 10 years.
We have employees here too, you know that, right?
A land of Cubans. The Venezuelans have showed up. Now, if you want to know who hates communism and socialism, talk to the people in South Florida, in Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, that are from Cuba, that are from Venezuela. Oh my no. So here's what's actually happened over the last few weeks. So you have Maduro, and then you have the opposition party. It's an older guy, Edmundo Gonzalez. So for weeks, Maduro was trailing by over 25 percentage points for weeks. So it'd be the equivalent of Trump is above Kamala by 25%. It's a wrap.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the day of the election, Maduro wins 51% to 44%. So that's a 7-point swing. So what happened to those other 18 percentage points? Where'd they go? That's what people want to know. So you have people like Secretary of State Anthony Blinken coming out and basically saying, yeah, we don't recognize this. Sorry, guys. By the way, do you know who the biggest, loudest voice is on this? Our friend Javier Milei, Argentina. Shout out to this guy. Here's what he said. He said the following. He's issued a statement saying that the Venezuela socialist president Maduro has lost and that Argentina will not recognize another fraudulent election. Quote unquote, Venezuela chose to end the communist dictatorship of Nicolas Maduro. The data announced a crushing victory for the opposition, and the world is waiting for it to recognize the defeat after years of socialism, misery, and decadence and death. Argentina is not going to recognize another fraud, and it hopes the armed forces this time will defend the democracy and the popular will. And then PBD, you always talk about socialism, communism. Rob, pull up this chart that I sent you.
What?
Right there. Okay.
Whoa.
So take a look at this. If you want to know what socialism and communism basically can do to a country, here's a little fun facts for you regarding Venezuela. Do you have the actual chart, Rob?
Just right there.
Yeah, that thing right there. So look in the yellow. Did you know that 60 years ago, Venezuela was 2 times richer than China? It was 4 times richer than Japan. It was the 4th ranked world economy and #1 in Latin America. Its currency was second only to the US dollar, and they had an excellent health system. This is Venezuela. This is 60 years ago. 60 years later, there's a potential civil war because socialism and communism have run amok. If you need another evidence, all you socialists out there, what happens when you go from capitalism to socialism? Look no further than Venezuela.
Great point, Bernie. Great point, Adam. Bernie Sanders, AOC. I sent Rob this chart to piggyback on you. When you say, Adam, and it's not like fear mongering, it can happen. Check out this timeline, PBD. In 1992, Venezuela, third richest country in the hemisphere. 97, second largest purchaser of F-150. 2001,
those are pickup trucks.
Yeah, voted for 2001 a socialist president. Income equality. Pay attention. 2004, private healthcare is completely socialized. 2007, all higher education becomes free. 2009, socialists ban private ownership of guns.
Wonder why?
2012, Bernie Sanders praises their American dream. 2014, opposition leaders are imprisoned.
How Cuban of you.
Yeah, 2016, food, healthcare shortages become widespread. 2017, constitution and elections are suspended. And then 2019, unarmed citizens massacred by their own government. And it only took one generation of that progressive leadership to plunge them into civil war. So don't get it twisted. And that's what these leaders, these Kamala Harrises, these Bernie Sanders, these AOCs, the squad, that's what they want. They want all of us to have that. So that's the future if you keep voting for these people.
So, by the way, great points, Vinny. If you see 2001, you know who they voted in right there?
Whoa.
That was the guy, Hugo Chavez. So that's the guy. And you have to understand one thing about Venezuela. They're basically like Saudi Arabia of Latin America. They're an oil-rich country. So what they try to do is socialize the oil, and any times that you do socialize anything, believe me, there's only a few people getting rich, and that's the people running the government and not the people.
Yep.
What's pretty funny, if you ask everybody, what is the non-Middle East member of OPEC? It's Venezuela.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a sad situation, and it could, Pat, you said something the other day, like nobody can see a civil war, and then boom, it happens.
Yeah, and no, this is exactly how it causes it. When you feel like you're voting and your voice is not being heard, there's not many feelings more frustrating than you think your voice is not being heard. It doesn't matter where you're at, in a family, in a relationship, in a company, and no matter where you're at, and especially when it comes down to elections, when something like this takes place. Okay, let's go to the next story here. Let's see which one we want to go with. What big story have we not hit yet, Rob? Let's go to... let me see which one I want to go to. Yeah, let's go to the Google one. Google sparks new election conspiracy as key feature omits Trump. And we're going to test it out here right now to see if it's a conspiracy or if it's real or not. It's to the point that Facebook had to come out and apologize on what was going on with them. So here's what we're looking at, all right? If you want to go to page 8. So Google's autocomplete function does not show results of the recent assassination attempt on Donald Trump, leading conservatives to cause the tech giant of intentional election interference. Donald Trump Jr., big tech is trying to interfere in the election again to help Kamala Harris. Truly despicable. Roger Marshall, a Republican senator from Kansas, announced a congressional inquiry asking why is Google suppressing the search about Trump assassination attempt. Google responded, the autocomplete is a tool to help users save time, saying we're working on improvements to ensure, give it a break. Our systems are more up to date, and denied any manual action to create these results, emphasizing there are protections against suggestions that are aligned with political violence. Okay, why don't we do this? Rob, do me a favor, zoom in a little bit so we can all see it. Zoom in a little. Okay, type in Wilt Chamberlain. What comes up? 100-point game. Type in, let's go to Mark Spitz. Mark Spitz.
The diver?
That's right. The diver, gold medals. That's what you think about, right? Mm-hmm. Type in Billy Blanks. Billy Blanks. Right. That's right. Movies, wife, net worth. This is the workout. Look at the workout. That's what you think about, a workout. Type in, I don't know, pick a most random thing that has nothing to do with anything. Type in Tupac. Okay.
Songs, death, birthday.
Look at that, because that's what you want to know. If today you were to type in Donald Trump, what do you think are the most searched things people put up next?
Kamala Harris.
Type in Donald Trump. Now, okay.
Now wait a minute.
By the way, as of yesterday,
none of this was there.
This was not coming up because yesterday I had Judd on and it never came up.
Straight up.
They
changed it in 24 hours.
Rob, we did it live yesterday. Wow. We did it live yesterday. We did it live yesterday. It wouldn't even come up. Okay, look at this. Assassination attempt. Trump is now coming up. None of this stuff was coming up yesterday, live. We did it with Judd. The clip is already live on, what do you call it? On the episode that went up.
What do you think changed in the last 24 hours?
Let me go through this. So Elon Musk's blast Google over omissions of Trump assassination search suggestions. He criticized Google for omitting the search and said election interference. Wow, Google has a search ban on President Trump. They're getting themselves into a lot of trouble if they interfere with the election. Google denied any against. Same thing that going back to with the answers. So right there, if you look at that, Rob, Adam, that's what was going on until yesterday. When you typed in President Donald, it goes to Duck, it goes to Reagan.
Duck.
Yeah.
Donald Reagan?
This is the difference.
That's the guy?
This is the difference when people said there was no election fraud done. We can isolate the word with fraud. You can change it with interference.
Cheating.
This is what you call interference.
It's called cheating.
Mm-hmm. Interference.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're interfering with the election. Tom, your thoughts on this here?
Well, I think Google just got busted, but let me teach you. Here's a quick case study on how to read spin quotes and responses from tech companies. First of all, here's what they said. We are not doing anything manual to create these results. There are protections against suggestions that are aligned with political violence. Let me tell you something. That's full of crap. I'll tell you how to read that. We're not doing anything manual. Baloney. What they did is they reprogrammed the algorithm. Now the algorithm automatically does what it's told. So this is how they play games with this. There are protections against suggestions that are aligned with political violence. Yeah, how to kill blank would be, and you're putting some person's name in there, that would be aligned with violence, right? But, aligned with violence, you're going to put in JFK assassination. That's aligned with political violence? No, it's a historical thing that happened. And so when you read about this and you see what's going on, our systems have protections and all this, we are working on improvements to ensure our systems are more up to date. Let me tell you, there is nothing, that is also BS, because there's nothing more up to date than the spiders that are everywhere, and they're called spiders, and they crawl the internet indexing everything. And so you can have hours after a major event covered by many newspapers and news outlets and Reddit and everything else, all of a sudden Google will have it bop at the top. Why? Because they're selling ads against it. So this is how you read it when they're just trying to put the spin on it. This is, by definition, a large media company that doesn't want to be called they don't want to be called the publisher because that comes with regulation. They're basically here with the spin, admitting that they are doing it and they are interfering with people's ability to get information.
Are we surprised though? I mean, I know you.
No, we're not surprised.
Are we surprised that Google, Facebook, Meta? It's all like, mind you, Zuckerberg. Don't let them fool you. Zuckerberg, when we were in New York, did a podcast, and he goes, "Oh, seeing Trump and doing that, it's one of the most badass things I've ever seen." Oh, really, Mark? Then why the hell is your company? This is it right here. Is this it?
No.
Yeah.
Emily Chang,
this is Google.
No.
Meta.
Google. Meta's doing it as well. Meta's doing it.
Yeah, this is the clip with him being interviewed.
Yeah. By the way, Meta does it as well. And then, by the way, the Olympics thing, I made a little montage on my own. I took some clips. I posted it, and within 30 seconds, boom, Facebook, Instagram took it down, and they said you can't show this. Why? Because they were. A guy's testicles are next to a freaking 8-year-old kid. It's a concerted effort, and we keep saying, and I get it, there's fraud, there's whatever. It still leads to, they are trying to influence an election, and it's cheating. It's not, the tables, the scales aren't equal. It's BS.
You have to be ready for it, Adam.
So, this is reminiscent of a story we covered a few months ago. If you remember when the AI chatbots, when you would Google it in, and Elon Musk was in it, it would say things like, which is worse, Elon Musk misgendering Caitlyn Jenner or nuclear holocaust?
Yeah.
And they say, well, it's impossible to tell which has worse ramifications for the world. It's like, whoa, how are we equivocating a nuclear holocaust with misgendering somebody? And this is the slippery slope that happens. You remember that whole thing that was Google Gemini, and it was all basically the Silicon Valley tech companies that were basically inputting, Tom, you hit it, the algorithm, and it's the programmers that are putting this in here. And then the next thing you know, what they're going to put in is, okay, Donald Trump, what happened to the assassination? Next thing you know, they're going to see the media and AI all of a sudden yeah, Kamala Harris wasn't really the border czar, really, because I'm pretty sure that was her like whole thing for a few years.
Yeah.
What happened to that? Next thing you know, yeah, men can have babies too. Yeah, no big deal. Hey, women, you're no longer mothers. You're birthing people. You don't have a uterus. You have a front hole. Next thing you know, also Google medieval knights. All of a sudden, the medieval knights are all black. Google Scandinavia. Google the Vikings. All of a sudden, the Vikings were Asian warlords. No, it's whitewashing history and basically erasing everything that's accurate for this sort of DEI LGBT type agenda. And until we see otherwise, this is sort of the narrative that this is all about.
And Pat, if it wasn't, and I'm being genuine, if it wasn't for Elon buying X, would we even know, or would any of this be reported for us to even pay attention?
No, because all these things will be blocked.
That's
all these things will be blocked. And that's why you have to applaud him for what he did.
Yep.
And he even went after Newsom. You know, Newsom and him had a very interesting exchange. I don't want to go into this too much. I just want to show the tweet.
Okay.
If you want to put the tweet of him and Newsom, I don't know if you got it, Rob. So Newsom, Elon Musk shares a manipulated video of Kamala Harris on X, sparking backlash from California Governor Newsom, who declared manipulating a voice in an ad like this one should be illegal and announced he would be signing a bill to address this issue. Musk responded with sarcasm, claiming he had checked his renowned world authority, Professor Sugon Desnoots. Okay? And he said parody is legal in America. If you get so, this is the humor of Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who does things like this. But let's go to Kamala Harris.
Professor Desnoots is one of the most leading voices in this topic.
Let's go to Kamala Harris. So,
speaking,
Kamala Harris raises $200 million in a first week of presidential campaign. Okay. The stories that came out in the last week, because we haven't done a podcast for 4 or 5 days. So $200 million first week. Well, the Time magazine comes out, story saying Kamala Harris was never the border czar. And here's what she really did. Bernie Sanders comes out and talks about the stark warning of Kamala Harris. I mean, all these stories you keep hearing about. Is that her position still right now or not, you know, on defunding the police? She's now being questioned. At the same time, she's at the Olympics. She's all over the place. People are promoting her. People are marketing her. People are putting her out there. And even this guy that we had on the podcast 2 years ago, the guy that makes predictions,
Alan Lichtman.
Yeah. Alan Lichtman, is there a video of him? Or this guy's undefeated on making predictions on who wins the presidency. And we had him on, and he ended up being right because he said Biden was going to win, and Biden ended up winning. And watch what this guy says here. Go ahead.
I'll tell you exactly where we stand, even though I'm not going to make a final prediction until the Democratic convention. Under my 13-key system, which probes the strength and performance of the White House party, how elections really work, if 6 or more of my keys fall against the White House party, they're predicted losers, otherwise a predicted winner. Right now with Harris, the Democrats are down 3 keys. My mandate key, because they lost House seats in 2022 in the U.S. House. Incumbency, because it's an open seat. And incumbent charisma, because Harris is not an FDR. That means 3 more keys would have to fall to predict their defeat. It's possible, but a lot would have to go wrong for Harris to lose. So what are the 4 keys your viewers should be looking at? Third party. Will RFK Jr. stabilize at least 10% in the polls? It's the only time I have to use the polls. I have nothing else. I think that's unlikely. Social unrest. Will there be a huge outburst of social unrest at the Democratic convention like we saw in the riots of '68? I don't think so, but it's possible. And the 2 shakiest keys, foreign/military failure and foreign/military success. So a lot would have to go wrong for Harris and the Democrats to lose 3 of those 4 keys.
Let me say this. Here's what he said. A lot has to go wrong for Kamala Harris to lose. Tom, your thoughts on this?
Well, I think everybody is underestimating the enthusiasm and the bounce that's happening subtly in some polls. Remember, this is all about battleground states, specifically Pennsylvania. There is no way for the Dems to win without Pennsylvania. You look at all of the states that are leaning way too far blue and red. You add those up, and they must win Pennsylvania. So you just look at that. And right now we're seeing the women vote like move a little bit, more than a little bit. And so anybody that doesn't think, everybody thinks this is a layup or doesn't think that this is a real intense campaign here is not paying attention. She is a formidable candidate for the weaker independent American voters that are rolling on identity and perception. You better take her seriously, not to the point you say, wow, she's a wonderful intellect. No, my opinion doesn't change on that. But I take her very seriously as a political opponent and candidate.
Yeah, Rob, can you go up to Twitter? I put a tweet the other day. I got a couple million views, and it's called Unsolicited Advice to President Trump. Now, you know, we all love unsolicited advice.
I love
There's nothing more exciting than unsolicited advice. So let me just show this to you, and you can take it whatever you want. So, number one, Kamala is formidable, but she's not in your league. Her biggest strength is an entire establishment behind her, but that alone can't beat you. However, agitation is their strategy. They hated how calm and cool you were with your speech at RNC. It was emotional. You captivated not just Americans, but the world. They don't know how to beat Trump. They know how to beat the agitator Trump. Stay focused on politics. 2016 campaign was about being the underdog. You know how to win as an underdog. Some may even say it's impossible to beat you as an underdog mentality. The favorite mentality sometimes paints you as a bully. Bullying can work when going against a bully, Biden, but Kamala is like a featherweight fighting a heavyweight, you. Fighting too aggressive can come across as a bully. You're above that. 4, lead with your track record. What you did with your one term was historic. Great policies that energize the nation and scare the hell out of our enemies. Great policies that helped everyone, blacks, whites, Hispanics, married or single, young or old. Stay focused on driving with your policies and initiatives. Number 5, you're one of one. There's never been one like you as a president who's won in 3 different very competitive climates. You're what I call a trifecta. You won in real estate in New York. You won in the entertainment industry with Apprentice, 15 years. You won in politics being a president. Americans know that. But your voters and even more, your enemies know that. Your enemies secretly envy you for being a trifecta. Let your base and voters point this out while you focus on unified. 6, you don't need to fight all the fights. 95% of fights can be won by your generals and your representative. You have formidable generals who are strong. Let them do the day-to-day fight. Focus on a bigger picture. Choose your enemies wisely. Small thinking, those who apologize for America's greatness, outside countries who are trying to divide America. Sell the American dream, financial freedom, retirement with dignity, building great memories with kids, grandkids, family, leaving a legacy behind, security, safety, building a small business as big as you want or as small as you want, regardless of your skin color, et cetera, et cetera. And 9, you were an inch away from meeting your creator. He's truly given you another chance. I don't think it's because he wants you to make another billion or another hit TV show or another hole-in-one, but maybe because he wants to use you as a way to show that everyone can change. You can be a leader to challenge and unify the reasonable Americans. Not all, that's not possible, but the majority of people are reasonable and are willing to support you. Trust in God. Sometimes we choose to change intentionally. Most of the times we change due to a life-changing event. If we consider the life-changing event a possible method of how God communicates with us to change, then it's on us to trust him. In closing, nothing can be more annoying than unsolicited advice. Either way, future looks bright. Adam, thoughts on Kamala and thoughts on the way he is approaching Kamala week 1 after the announcement?
So you're absolutely on point. And whether it's unsolicited or not, Trump should listen. And he should also listen to the segment that you did yesterday on Jesse Waters, because that was incredible.
Clinic.
Because it's coming out of a place of I can help you, help me help you. So here's what we've learned in the last few weeks with Kamala. All the Republicans that were calling on Biden to step down, he's inept, we can't have this guy here. And now they're actually double downing, saying that he should step down, he shouldn't be president anymore, step down. Guys, be careful what you're doing out there. All you're doing is empowering Kamala. You keep piling on how weak of a candidate Joe Biden was. Well, now you have at least a young, fresher candidate to run against. At this point, apparently the polls are neck and neck now. Now, I don't know where the swing states are, but you're absolutely right. Kamala is not in Trump's league, but when you're putting in the DEI, woke, feminist, drag, you see her, she came out and did her announcement on RuPaul's drag show. Yeah. Don't underestimate just how many women will fall for this stuff. You talked about how many like white women are
I'm going to show that video.
Advocating for Kamala now.
Yeah.
There's also another thing about white men. So follow the money. How much money has she raised? $200 million in the last week or so, in the first day, I want to say. So Republicans, that's that. The number of Americans, so here's another story, another number of Americans, we'll get that video read. Number of Americans who say that U.S. is ready for a female president is actually dipping. The New York Times YouGov reveals that 54% of Americans say they are ready for a female president, a decline of 9 points since 2015. So who was running in 2015? Hillary Clinton. So here's my opinion. Take it down, take it not. Is America ready for a female president? Yes. Is America ready for this female president? Absolutely not. So Trump has to take your advice, play it cool, calm, collected. I just don't know if he's going to do that.
We can all hope and pray, but you've been talking about the magic trick, Pat, when you're like, hey, everybody, look it over here, and you're doing this. This whole campaign is going to be race, but it's about the black woman, and I want people at home, don't fall for this, hey, she's a woman of color, and think of the policies, exactly where you are today, and how bad the situation is in this country. It's going to keep going, and it's going to get worse. And the team that they're putting, listen, this whole movement, Adam nailed it, the RuPaul, the LGBTQ, the women. There's a former teacher, Rob has this video, Miss Frazzled. Now, for anybody that's home that's eating or eating yogurt or something, I don't want you guys to vomit.
What is this?
Because this is cringe, Pat. So she's on, this is white women for Kamala Harris, and this is the Miss Frazzled, and she's saying that white women should not correct people of color and need to check their privilege. She goes on and basically calls white women to bow down to BIPOC. If you guys have, I thought it was Tupac. BIPOC is black, indigenous, and other people of color. She's warning them in the Zoom not to be those people towards the BIPOCs.
Who's she talking to?
She's on the Zoom for white women for Kamala.
Go ahead, Rob.
This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good. No matter who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other.
This is her with 100,000 other white women.
There's a bunch of
encouraging them.
Get to the point with the BIPOC stuff.
Positive changes.
2 minutes. I don't have time to listen to this.
If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid correcting them, just take a beat. And instead we can put our listening ears on. So do learn.
I guess she's going to say white
black, indigenous, and other people of color. She's basically saying, listen, while we're on this campaign and you're trying to help, don't just know that you're white and use your privilege to, if anybody of any color says anything, shut up because you're racist. This whole campaign is going to be about
What's this other
race.
clip that they have that one of the super PACs made?
Oh, God.
You guys were talking about
this one's
one.
This is a
Play 30 seconds of this. This is a super PAC of Kamala made this video.
Pro Kamala PAC, and this is by the way, guys, this is real PBD. This isn't a joke. This isn't a parody. This is a pro Kamala PAC.
Go ahead. Let's see how.
Us MAGA Republicans banned abortion, but that's just the start.
That's just the start.
If Trump gets elected, we want the government involved in all aspects of your sex life.
Way more involved.
Way more involved.
When you have sexual intercourse, it should be illegal to use contraception. No pills, no condoms.
Your genitals are reserved for procreation.
If you freeze 12 eggs, you should be required to have 12 babies, or else you're a serial killer. And I'm definitely not a serial killer.
Are you?
My son monitors my porn usage to make sure I'm not self-pleasuring.
Just like Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. That's true. You can look it up.
Don't you think that's normal?
Yeah, I do.
It's normal for your son to do that.
You should have a family member monitor your porn use too.
Because pleasuring yourself is very, very naughty.
I'm voting in November.
I'm voting in November. We're all voting in November. Are you?
Because what happens in your bedroom is up to me.
Is up to me and my son. Also, mouth stuff is a sin.
But by the way, Coelho, can we just say one thing?
It's absolutely
That's
disgusting.
what they think, that MAGA Republicans are white, sweaty, herpy-lipped, those are all Democratic actors, by the way, but that's what they think that you are, and that works because people are watching that video.
Rob, I sent you another video that if you can pull that up. But to me, it's so apparent and it's so disgusting, and it's such a divergent of what the Democratic Party used to be. And this is why the average voter out there, whether you're independent, you're a moderate, you're not going to put up with this identity politics, pro-LGBT woke agenda. And if Trump just stays focused on the economy, the cost of living, the border.
It's too long. I can't play this song. You can tell me what
30 seconds.
No, it's $1.54.
No, just play the first 30 seconds. This, I feel like there's a lot of people with common sense that think exactly like this guy.
Yeah, this message is to all you Trump supporters, all you MAGA people. I have one thing to say to you. I'm sorry. Sorry that I bought into all the bullshit that the media was feeding to me for all those years. Sorry for thinking that you guys were the enemy, when really you are trying to protect this country. The past 3 years, the past 4 years have been horrific. You can't buy food. Gas prices are ridiculous. And our cities are looking like fucking slums. Elect Kamala Harris, who's actually in charge of the border now. Yeah, no, sorry. I voted into all the bullshit. One part what
he says about the gay thing right
Not
here.
this time. Another thing.
Here, right here.
As a gay man, I'm over this fucking gay woke agenda bullshit, because that's not what the gay community is. Sorry, it is not. What they're pushing on TV is some sadistic shit. And as somebody who has a nephew who's in kindergarten, the last thing I want is for my nephew to think that if you already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, good, Rob. So I think there's a lot of people out there that actually think like this.
Hopefully they vote.
By the way, do you know who actually falls into that camp of like, yeah, I thought this, but now I think totally opposite? JD Vance. So I don't know what, if we want to open up that can of worms. There's a lot of people that fell for the media's lies in 2016 and basically saw for themselves, you know what you can't lie to? People's eyes and experience. And they've been seeing what's going on here and the lies that the media has told. And it turns out, yeah, maybe we should have built that wall.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it turns out that the whole Russia collusion thing was fake. Maybe it turns out like, hey, the gay marriage LGBT thing went a little too far.
Yeah, too many
There's
letters.
a lot of people that are basically saying, yeah, it was kind of, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So to me, it's sort of disgusting that Kamala Harris goes on RuPaul to announce her candidacy to the LGBTQ thing.
Yeah.
It's just sort of lockstep with the Olympic thing. And it's going to take the reality is this. Who's going to win the independent, moderate female vote?
Yeah.
Because if you can win that vote, Trump will win. If they all go to Kamala, it's going to not be pretty.
And Adam, it still comes down to, are their votes going to actually count? Are the illegal votes going to be the thing to push them over that? Bro, and you guys nailed it. Don't underestimate her, but it's the system that's behind her. There's 20 million illegals that are going to be in here by November, and there's already mad reports of people at DMVs. Even Humberto told me, Peter, he went to go get a driver's license or something, and he went to go there to register, and he's like, here's my ID. Like, oh, we don't even need it. They don't want your ID to vote, and that's gonna be Adam. That's gonna be the problem. Is if the fix is in. If you want to be honest with each other, and people are like the swing states in the middles. No, it's the illegals that are voting.
Tom, do you have anything to say? Or?
This is why it is so important to be a rational player on social media and in your community, and do three things. Encourage people to get registered to vote if they're not registered already. Encourage your friends to vote. Be part of helping elderly people in your community to get their absentee ballot and to vote, and to be part of the process, and to be a rational player promoting things you know to be true and the rational things that this country was founded on. And and don't get caught up in the polling. Like 77% of people believe the country's ready for a woman president. Now, the issue with polls like that is everybody thinks you're talking about Kamala, so you're not really getting rational poll answers. And a lot of the polling you see out there on these random issues, I just filter that out and take a look at what America do you want? The one that you've had 4 years of, or a different one that you know what he stands for, you know what he did before, and you know what he's going to do for the economy and immigration.
But
which America do you want?
Yeah, and if I was Trump, you know what I would do, and I know we want to move on. The day of if I win, right before I get inaugurated, I would identify like transgender as a woman and just ruin that for everybody. I'd be like, I'm the first woman president. Done deal. Bye. Let's get that out of the way.
Start identifying as a female. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a couple stories here. And this thing could be either they're trying to, troll, or it is what it is. But a Newsweek story. Donald Trump has about 10 days to replace J.D. Vance. Okay, so Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stated that Trump has about 10 days to replace J.D. Vance as his running mate if he chooses. Amid reports, Trump regrets the choice. Now, this is rumors they're creating. Schumer criticized the decision, saying the addition of J.D. Vance to this ticket is incredibly a bad choice. Trump is sitting there scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy? Trump's campaign, however, denied any intention to replace Vance. Communications Director Stephen Chang said President Trump is thrilled with the choice he made with Senator Vance, and any reporting to the contrary is nothing but ridiculous fake news. Political scientist Mitchell Brown noted that while Trump could replace Vance before ballot deadlines, it would all involve the Republican National Committee and be complicated by stability, the time it takes to gear up a campaign and run a good campaign. By the way, this is also happening when a story comes out by Peter Thiel saying he is elated by the J.D. Vance pick and warms to Trump. Again, keep in mind, Peter Thiel had a little bit distanced himself from Trump, and he had other people that he wanted to be the president instead of Trump. But now he has rekindled the support for Trump after him choosing J.D. Vance, one of Thiel's close political allies, as his running mate. Thiel expressed cautious optimism about a second term, saying, "It makes me more hopeful that a second term Trump will be better than the first." Despite his renewed support, Thiel remained non-committal about making significant financial contributions. I went on record saying I would not give money to super PACs, and I have to stick to that. He believes Trump and Vance will win by solid margin, adding, I think Trump and JD will crush the election by solid margin, 4% or 5% of the popular vote. Adam.
Well, Peter Thiel's no lightweight. This is somebody that's been on and off the Trump train for the last 8 years or so. This is an initial, original PayPal mafia, Silicon Valley billionaire. When he speaks, you should definitely be listening. So he's got a lot of credibility when he talks about J.D. Vance. There's definitely been stories coming out about, well, is Trump happy with his pick, not happy with his pick? At this point, I think it would be a horrible look for Trump to reverse the decision. He went through a vetting process, almost apprentice-like, saying, Marco Rubio, you are not the VP. Doug Burgum, you are not the VP. And then obviously J.D. Vance was there. Now, why is J.D. Vance a viable VP? Who does he attract? He wrote the book, The Hillbilly Elegy, right? Elegy. And where he carries weight is that Midwest Rust Belt. The paycheck to paycheck American worker, manufacturing's been gone. The Rust Belt's been basically ruined. The Ohios of the world, the Michigans of the world, the Pennsylvanias of the world, everything in that Rust Belt. This is who he's going to identify with. And if you don't believe me, listen to what your friend, the pollster, had to say. What was the guy that you did a thing with Vinny on Piers Morgan? Frank Lutz. Yeah. He said, he actually did some polling. He said he defended Trump's choice of J.D. Vance as his VP candidate, emphasizing Vance's appeal to the paycheck voter. He chose to double down, and J.D. Vance comes from the background that Trump's focusing on, so he's credible. And he's got the language because this is how he grew up. So here you have, whether it's Kamala basically pandering to the LGBT, abortion, trans community, or you have J.D. Vance, who's basically identifying with the average American working class. To me, the American working class is who you should be focusing on, not this other nonsense. So I think he's not going anywhere.
Tom, J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, this story is being used by the left because have there been issues with J.D. Vance? Yes. Have they dug up a lot of opposition research and some very bombastic things he said? Yes. Like, his wife and what she said or didn't say or won't say about Trump. Yes, all of that's there. But what the left is doing is the same thing that the right was doing with the Biden health. If you keep that story live, living, and as a fog, just up there, sparks and smoke and distraction, then it prevents people from talking about real issues. So if you can keep the story of, are you going to replace J.D. Vance? You saw what he said about you. You saw what he did. Saw what he did. The left is doing a very good job of that. And the pamphlet for the DNC, Newsweek, is out there trying to propagate the story and keep it going. So because that way it distracts from being able to talk about things like the border, the economy, interest rates, and the things that Trump wants to do to move the ball forward. So when you create a distraction and keep people talking about something, it prevents people from talking about real issues. So is there some real things in J.D. Vance's background that are popping up? Yes. But they're using it with a replacement story to create even more fire out of it? Yes.
And I'm being honest. I don't know. I didn't get as deep as, I didn't do that much research about J.D. Vance. But just from a personal looking from the outside in, there's just something that in here in my heart is off with that guy. I don't know what it is. And the fact that at the end of the day, Pat, if I talked like this to you, you know what? To you, not to you, to your face, but to Tom. Tom, you know what? I would never, ever work for a guy like this. Pat, he just overall, he's the worst thing for any company. He's just a scumbag. I don't like cops. I don't like this. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to be your guy. I'm going to be with you. To me, Pat should never trust me 100% because that's how you really feel. I get what Adam was saying, Adam, that people change their points of view. But that feeling in there, once you have that Trump derangement system that you hate Trump because you were brainwashed to, I still can't trust you 100%.
Making it super personal is different from saying, I don't agree with Tom on taxing tariffs.
Yeah, exactly. But saying I don't like him and this and you'll look at the history of what he has said.
What are the chances that Trump knew these comments before they said
100%. He had to.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
what are the chances that they had a conversation? Hey, man, this is what I'm expecting of you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the chances that Trump and him had a conversation? Hey, man, I know you said this. This is where I'm at now. Here's what I need from you. I feel like Trump knew all of this. So as much as we want to say, oh, I don't like him or not, Trump's a marketer. He knows what he's doing. If Trump is going to win, he needs to flip those Midwestern independent voters who voted for him in 16 but didn't vote for him in 20. And how is he going to appeal to those guys?
So here's
and the reality is, here's a guy that basically flipped just like them that can identify with them.
So let me tell you who this guy was and why, he chose him. My opinion, okay? My opinion. So this guy came up and everybody from mainstream media had him on 2016, 17, 18. Why? Because he was a Republican who hated Trump. And the left loves that. Of course. So he got CNN, MSNBC. They bought his book. He was a hero. They made a movie about him. Mm-hmm. You think they would have made a movie about him? He said good things about Trump? No way. They made a movie about the guy with good actors and actresses because he trashed Trump.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why he got the movie. So then he gets the movie. And then later on, he flips. And you know who warms up to him? Trump's son, Junior, gets close to him. They're saying this is Junior's candidate that was brought up to the father, okay, to say, here's who he is. And when they did, and they started spending time together, anyways, his position changed. However, I got a bigger question for you. So right now, the whole thing yesterday with Jesse Waters, where I'm like, Marcus Aurelius, they used to whisper, he had a slave that would sit right behind him to always tell him, hey, you're not as important as you think you are. Rob, can you pull up, what did the slave tell Marcus Aurelius every day? What did the slave tell Marcus Aurelius? And what's the famous quote?
He'd have one slave, like a main guy behind.
Remember thou art mortal?
Yeah, remember that you're going to die, or some quote like that. He would whisper something to him. What was it? You're just a man. You're just a man. You're just a man. This is what he would whisper to him, right?
That's pretty awesome.
The slave would whisper to him in the back, hey, you're just a man. You're just a man. You're just a man. I said to Jesse yesterday, Trump needs to have somebody that whispers to him and says, you need to win over independence. You need to win over independence. Yep. You need to win over independence. Stop allowing MAGA to make you think they're everybody. They're not. So, strategically, likability, I have my own opinions. That's a different story with JD. Strategically, here's what you have to ask yourself. Would you rather have a JD or a Nikki Haley?
JD.
By the way, JD is a better version of Nikki Haley. Huh. But JD and Nikki Haley have an audience that Trump doesn't have. Mm-hmm. And that's why he needed JD. That's why everybody's like, I can't believe you were against Trump picking Vivek. I'm like the biggest Vivek guy. But Vivek's not going to bring him new voters that he didn't already have.
Exactly.
Vivek, the only reason Vivek wasn't the leading guy at the Republican debates and he wouldn't move up is because one guy had all the votes, and that's Trump.
Yeah.
Or else he would have lapped all of these guys,
For sure.
7%, 8%. Vivek was on a whole different league than DeSantis, Christie, all these other guys, right? But here's the thing. So he is a better version of Nikki Haley, okay? I don't know if Trump trusts this guy 100%. I don't think he needs to. John F. Kennedy, years ago, and his father, these guys were very strategic. They went after the one guy that hated him the most. It was the Irishman, it was Lyndon Johnson, who couldn't stand John F. Kennedy. But John F. Kennedy felt they needed Lyndon Johnson because he needed the Texas vote. And he needed that to help him pick up some other things. Calling LBJ to say, hey, I want you to be my VP. LBJ is like, who the hell are you? I'm supposed to call you to tell you to be my VP. I'm the freaking alpha. You're not an alpha. I'm supposed to be a president. You're running for president because your father. That's the exchange that took place. One of the best chapters in 48 Laws of Power talks about how hard Lyndon Johnson worked on a campaign, that he was exhausted, hospitalized at the end of the campaign. That guy was a dog. Don't agree with him. Don't like the guy. I think he was the reason why, John F. K's, had what happened to him. My opinion, or what happened to him. But I think this is one of those moments, and I'm not comparing JD to LBJ. I just think he would have been received much better than Nikki Haley. If he announced Nikki Haley as his VP candidate, it would have been very weird to people like you.
Oh, big time.
To people like you would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't like that at all.
But he did pick Nikki Haley, except her name is JD Vance.
Yeah.
So he did. Except it's JD, and JD's going to get him the same thing Nikki's going to get him. So strategically, it's good. Now, that's one piece of the puzzle. The next one is what? The independent piece of the puzzle. Can he bring RFK in? Yeah. He brings RFK in, the left is going to be shitting bricks if he brings RFK in.
Tom and Pat, how long would that window of RFK saying he's going to either stay in the race, drop out, or go towards Trump? Like when do you?
I don't know what the window is, but the quick update is, RFK's been, the interviews he's done for the last 4 days, he's focusing on DNC lawsuits in certain states to keep them off the ballot. So that's what he's pushing right now. And he's like, hey, we barely have enough money to campaign. We're having to defend ourselves from all these suits to get us off the ballot. So why is that important? If there's a tipping point in there and RFK, finds a middle ground on something he cares about that Trump will say something positive on, you could see it happen. But it feels like he wants to take this thing to the end, given all the time and effort that's been put into it to get on the ballots.
Can I give you one little piece of feedback?
Yeah.
Fully agree with you, Pat, that Donald Trump right now, JD Vance, he's in the conversion business. We've all heard the term. You're preaching to the choir. The last thing Trump needs to do right now is preach to the choir. The choir is already voting for Trump. Who are the people in the Midwest, those paycheck to paycheck voters in Michigan and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Minnesota that are going to break for Trump? And by the way, you already know what they're going to do with JD Vance. He's a white male. He's racist.
He's weird.
Well, he's got a little secret weapon. He's got an Indian beautiful wife named Usha. We love you, Usha. Okay, so they're going to try to paint him as this misogynist, white supremacist. Dude, he's married to a Indian woman. I don't know, Rob, if you can find a picture of them. So that's going to go a long way on the campaign trail. Any attack. So like the whole Mike Pence thing, there she is right there. The whole Mike Pence thing, oh, he's just a white evangelist. It didn't help the cause that Mike Pence wouldn't be alone in a room with anybody other than his wife. He played like, it was just a white bread, corny thing. This is a young, capable guy who's about to be 40, married to a woman of color.
Yeah.
The Nikki Haley of the world, if you will, who's a very capable person. And the whole mess, it's symbolic. Hey, listen, guys, I know that you weren't on the Trump train, but it's okay to be on the train now.
Yeah.
It's okay to evolve. You've been lied to. Just like this person, just like this person, just like this. It's okay to come on board. Yeah. And if Trump stays above the fray, I love what you said about 90% of the battles. Trump doesn't need to fight. Let his surrogates do it. Don't get involved in the melee. Let your people do it. Let JD fight for you. Let Usha fight for you. Let all your surrogates fight for you. Stay above the fray and keep it cool, DJT.
All right, let's go to the next one here. The FBI right now is being held up. Rob, is there a hearing right now with them talking about there was 9 shots fired?
It went from 5 to 8 to 9.
Yeah, the new acting director of Secret Service, I think, right now is in front of Congress. Correct.
Correct.
Senate hearing.
Is Ronald Rowe.
It's a Senate hearing this time. Correct.
And he said it was 9 shots fired. Is this that just went up, Rob?
I'm taking a look. I can't find the nine shots fired clip, but I'm still
They're
looking.
saying 9 shots fired, and they're saying 8 of it was the actual shooter, is what it was. But let me show you a whole different thing that's going on here. So Secret Service, apparently they're being interviewed. And in this interview, Rob, they're interviewing SWAT. And while interviewing the SWAT, they're being asked, so did Secret Service ever call you before coming to do the event with Trump? And this is what the answer was on ABC, not Fox News. Watch this. Go ahead.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
So that's that. And then they show another clip that just came out, which I got Sheriff Judd to react to from Polk County. And this other clip shows people just recording for 2 minutes. Cops are running around, knowing the guy's at the top. Nothing happens, and then all of a sudden shots are fired. Not going to play the whole clip to you. Yeah. And then I asked Sheriff Judd, for some of you guys that don't know who Sheriff Judd is, Rob, just go to play the clip that I showed. You know who he is. Sheriff Judd is the guy from Polk County that everybody fears. He's been doing this for 52 years. If you see his face, you're going to say, I know who this guy is. That guy right there, okay? I
love him.
Yeah, he's the guy that always goes viral. Listen, if he didn't want to do this and he started becoming a YouTuber, he'd be the next Mr. Beast. He's got videos with 8, 10, 15, 6 million views. He goes viral all the time. I asked him a question because October 12th of 2016, Trump went to Lakeland to give a speech. This is when he's just an entrepreneur and a famous celebrity. Lakeland is part of Polk County. I said, when he went to Lakeland, Polk County, did you communicate with Secret Service to be prepared for this? He said, of course. We always do. I said, what are you talking about? He says, every single detail you can think about. I said, such as what? He says, what kind of bullet are you going to be using? What kind of guns are you guys using? Our communication platform we're using is this. What do you communicate with? Who's going to be here? Which one do you have? Which one do you have? This is how detailed it is. And this is when Trump wasn't even a president yet. They were that intentional. So now he is this guy. After everything that happened to him, you mean to tell me Secret Service doesn't even reach out to have a communication with him? No. And then, by the way, play the clip, Rob, from the 48-second mark that Rob just sent you to see what he just said right now. This is the 9 shots fired. Is that the one you're going to show, or is that the other one?
Yeah, it's going to take a second because I have to send it from my phone to the computer. But
well, why don't you play this one first? The guy that the same YouTuber that does a great job that talks about 9 shots fired. How long is this one, Rob?
So this is actually just a screen grab of the actual shot, so you can see the numbered shots: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
and then
8,
the 9 is later on. Go ahead and play this.
I don't actually have the video. This was just a screen grab.
Oh, okay. So it is the 9 shots, but the 9th one is the latest one. And what they're saying is the first prop. Can you go back to that picture you showed again? I want to know seconds. Can you see what the difference is between the first shot fired to the 9th one? Can you see that?
Up top, yeah, it looks less than a second.
No, Rob. From the first shot fired
all the way to the
9th one, it's not less than a second because it goes like this: pa, pa, pa,
pa, pa, pa, pa, pa,
pa, pa, pa, pa, pa, pa.
So this starts at the 1 second mark, and this last one at the 9. If you look up at the chart, it looks about 16.8 seconds.
Okay, so after the first shot fired, you mean to tell me neither cops or Secret Service shoot anybody for 17 seconds? What? Just yesterday, I'm talking to Sheriff Judd, and I said, listen, this one time they had a guy that came in, Rob, you remember this story. Guy comes in, he kills one of the deputies. His name is Deputy Williams, kills his 8-9, shoots him in the back, shoots a couple of the other guys. He says when they went to kill him, they shot him 68 times. when they killed him. They asked him, they said, why did you shoot him 60? Why would you kill somebody and shoot him 68 times? He says, because we ran out of bullets. We would have shot him 100 times.
Oh,
he says, this guy deserved everything he got.
Yep.
I said, how long did it take you to shoot him 68 times? You know what it said? 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Because it was 8 people, 9 people shooting. He got shot 68 times.
Wow.
And you mean to tell me here 17 seconds, you wait till you shoot the 9th shot, and that's the one? Go ahead and play this clip, Rob. Go ahead.
Found 8 shell casings at the scene next to the shooter's body. We believe that the subject, the shooter, fired 8 rounds. While the investigation has not determined motive, the investigative team continues to review information from legal returns, including online and social media accounts. Something just very recently uncovered that I want to share is a social media account which is believed to be associated with the shooter in about the 2019-2020 timeframe. There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature. While the investigative team is still working to verify this account to determine if it did in fact belong to the shooter, we believe it important to share and note it today, particularly given the general absence of other information to date from social media and other sources of information that reflect on the shooter's potential motive and mindset. These are the facts, in part, that the investigation has revealed to date. While the shooter is dead, our work is very much ongoing and urgent. Thank you, and I look forward to answering any and all questions.
Can I ask you guys a question? Are we, and I'm being genuine, are we supposed to trust the same FBI that lied about Russia collusion? The same FBI that was at Twitter stopping all negative stories about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. The same FBI that raided Mar-a-Lago, that Merrick Garland was like, yeah, what was it called, Adam? They gave him the deadly force. Like, who is actually trusting the FBI when it comes to Donald Trump? Would you, Tom, if you were Donald Trump, you believe any of this? 8, it was 5, it was 8. I saw the FBI guy spraying the roof down on the day of the shooting. What are we talking about here?
We've seen the stories about all of that, and then we've seen the audio evidence that there was 3 shots of a certain sound, and we covered it on the podcast where the guy took us through that the next 5 shots were almost world record shooter reactions speed. That the 5 together by 1 shot would be like a world record, and they tested it with that guy who was a world record holder on repetitive shooting. And so I look at all that, and so I just draw a line there and I say, man, this thing needs something like an honest Warren Commission. Notice I put honest in front of Warren Commission.
Good luck with that.
I said an honest Warren Commission. But the other thing is, why doesn't Trump have, or I hope he has, the right kind of advisors around him and independent security? You know, if you think that the FBI is a problem and you think the Secret Service is a problem, we have more than enough evidence that a soft target with cataclysmic incompetence was set up, or a soft target was intentionally set up.
Yep.
But he became a soft target. We just saw these guys. We never talked to the sniper team. So I step away from all the fog of it and say, what do you do now? You need to go back and figure out what's going on. But right now, you want to figure out, what do you do now? You know, you got to, I think, ensure that there's proper security for the candidate, and he needs to have secondary people that are helping him with that.
And Tom, there's just really fast. There's videos now that are coming out that for almost a minute where they were building a perimeter around the building where the gunman is at. So think about this, guys, on a tactical point of view. There's a guy on the roof. There's cops surrounding the roof, and you hear Donald Trump still going on, okay? That is beyond incompetence, Tom. That's a purposeful, let him keep going. An ex-president is on stage 130 meters away, and you're letting him talk. And real security, Tom, real security for a presidential detail, it's up to 1,500 meters around. You can't get a clear line of shot.
Jeffrey, you know what the sheriff said yesterday?
Soft
he
target.
was appointed by Trump. He's a big Trump guy. He's a big supporter of Trump. He's a big Florida guy. And he doesn't believe there was anything dirty done. Nothing. He doesn't think anything was intentional. Rob, do you remember that? When he says
did he believe JFK was done?
He believed JFK assassination was all Lee Harvey Oswald. He's a very much of a, simple track in saying, no, I just think it was a screw up. They didn't know what they were doing. It was a mistake. They did all that other stuff. And I asked him a question. I said, let me ask you this. How many employees do you have that report to you? 2,000. How many of them are your best of the best? You know, he says 800. What percentage of those are women? He says about 20%. So let's say 160. I said, so 160 are women, 640 are men. He says, yes. I said, how many of them are SWAT? He said, I got 40 SWAT members. I said, how many of the SWAT are women? He says, 1. I said, so 5%. He said, yes. I said, so why do you think? He says, I know women that have more kahunas than men. I said, I've met them. I was in the Army. I understand what you're talking about. But how is it that every single one of Biden's Secret Service members are all white male, but Trump had all these females protecting him? How does that make any sense? How does it make sense that there was an A team for Biden, B team for Jill, and C team for Trump? How does that make any sense? He says, well, there should never be a C team, period. I said, did that look like an A team too? He said, no. I said, do you think that was accidental? He says, I just think they didn't pay attention to it. So he doesn't come from a place of thinking anything happened. But again, all these hearings they're doing, God willing, it leads to knowing and learning what happened. Whether it does or not, none of us know. We will definitely find out, but we'll see where this thing goes here. Meanwhile, Trump was at the Bitcoin conference. Yeah. Gets up there and pledges to make U.S. the crypto capital of the planet, okay? Of the planet during speech at world's largest Bitcoin conference, okay? At world's largest Bitcoin conference, he's given this message. Rob, if you got the clip, just play the clip.
Let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
Watch this.
I love him.
Keep watching.
I didn't know he was that unpopular.
Yes, he did.
Well, I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa.
Oh, I miss him so much. Yes. He's like a child. I love it.
Let me read some more things he said. He said, there will never be a CBDC while I'm president. That's very big for these guys. Trump pro-crypto shift aligns with significant crypto donations to his campaign, including a $1 million pledge from Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss. These are the Facebook boys, brothers. He criticized the Biden administration's anti-crypto crusade and warned if Vice President Harris won, they will be vicious. They will be ruthless. Adam, thoughts on this story here?
So, yeah,
and by the way, Bitcoin just went above $70,000. Yes. That's what happened.
Bitcoin is currently at, well, it's back down a little bit today, 65, I want to say. But it's been hovering around 70 for the last handful of months. But I've been following the situation with Trump, especially at the Bitcoin conference, because Adrian, our mutual friend out there, Vinny's buddy that he tried to fight that one time, was there. Now, Adrian's a pretty credible guy. He's been in the crypto space for years. His partner's the guy Ran, that's been on the podcast with us when Mayor Suarez was here. Here's his takeaways. The first thing that Trump did was legitimize the industry. He said this was monumental in terms of legitimizing what's going on in the crypto space. For the former president of the United States and the leading candidate for the presidency in 2024 to show up at a Bitcoin conference is, as he put it, huge for the industry in terms of legitimacy. By the way, JFK was there as well.
JFK or RFK?
I'm sorry, RFK was there. I apologize.
JFK was there. Tupac was there. Elvis was there. But
so was Biggie.
Yeah.
RFK was there as well as a few dozen sitting Congress members and senators that are out there who are either speaking or courting the crypto vote. So Trump, obviously the headliner here, but a lot of Congress and senators were there in there. So the central theme that throughout the entire conference was freedom, financial freedom, freedom to transact without government surveillance or interference and privacy. Number two, don't forget how powerful the crypto vote is, and rich and powerful. They're a political force. They've donated to hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of lobby. I think Trump said there's $175 million people all around the world that hold crypto, 50 million in the United States alone who are connected to crypto in some way or shape or form. He said, pocketbook issues, the famous quote, it's the economy, stupid. Crypto is freedom, financial freedom, and people vote with their pocketbook issues. So all those people there are going to be trending towards Trump. The big banks, by the way, BlackRock was there, their spot ETF that they put out right there, as well as other major banks that are basically courting the vote. So, and this is all irrespective of Trump. Now, regarding Trump's speech, here's the takeaway that I heard. So there was the good and bad. The symbolism of him showing up, speaking, fire Gary Gensler, this is what we're going to do, was actually fantastic. Now, they make 200, there's just some of the points that they brought out there that RFK and Trump both talked about into the policy perspectives. So the U.S. holds, they're encouraging the U.S. to hold 200,000 Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, just like we have, I think, 20% of the world's gold reserve currency here in the United States. That's what they're basically encouraging to do from a policy perspective. That's what they're aiming to do. You know what El Salvador has done with. So then there's the, some of these big guys, especially the BlackRocks of the world or the big peoples or the Michael Saylors of the world, they're like, well, it was kind of like a Trump rally-esque type of thing. That's not what they're basically here for. So they sort of had a lackluster response to his rally-esque sort of rhetoric. But at the end of the day, this was monumental for Trump. This was monumental for the crypto industry. And do you want to know why it was so compelling? Because the next day, leading Democratic candidates basically said, guys, wake up, we're going to lose this vote. And they put out a response and they said to the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, he said, the Democratic Congress members put out a policy proposal the day after the Trump speech calling for the DNC to wake up and embrace crypto industry or we're going to lose this vote. So Trump beat them to their game. Here it is. Pro-crypto Dems press DNC Harris team reaches out for the industry. So they're basically saying, listen, if you can't beat them, join them. Trump's ahead of the game. I think RFK spoke last year as well.
I said this 2 years ago, that the crypto community is a political party, period. You have to look at the crypto community as a political party. They're essentially, you're getting libertarians and independents and some people that are Dems and Republicans that love crypto. It's a very important community. It's just going to get bigger and more powerful, and they're going to age because they're young right now. If you were to look up the average age of a crypto owner, what is the average age of a Bitcoin owner? I don't know. Type
23 years old, maybe?
No. It's going to be 38, 35.
35.
Nearly. Does it show you the average age? 42 years 42? Old. Okay, that makes sense. Damn. So 20 years old. The average age of cryptocurrency owners are 42 years old. However, other studies have found different age demographics of crypto owners. Gemini report found that 33.1% of crypto owners are between 25 to 34. Yeah. Okay, good. 27 and a half are 18 to 24. 24% are 35 to, okay, so check this out. That's the best way to look at it, Vinny. 60% of crypto owners are 18 to 34 years old. 60%. Are 18 to, so that 42 number kind of throws it off. A Forbes Advisor survey of UK investors found that those age 18 to 34 are twice as much likely to own crypto than those 35. Exactly. That's 64 to whatever, 30% is going to be on the other side. A Policy Genius survey found that 20% of Gen Zers own cryptocurrency compared to 18% who own stocks. They own more crypto than they own stocks. Whoever wins this early, this community early, 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now, this could be like Dems owning the black vote. Like the way Dems owned the black vote since 1964, and the blacks are still owned by the Democratic side that keep owning their vote until they choose to change it. This is the part where many of the crypto people can sit there and say, hey, if you support us, libertarian mindset, decentralized, let us do our thing, we're supporting you. Trump's getting ahead of it. That's a very good point you made right there, Adam, about the fact that he's getting ahead.
I think it's great. And there's one thing to consider, and this is going to be a theme throughout the election. What percentage of crypto holders, or they go to these crypto events, are male versus female? What is your guess?
I'm going to say 65-35.
What do you guys think?
I think it's probably a little bit higher. I'll go 80-20.
So there's some conflicting data here, but on the low end, it looks like it's 75%, and the high end as much as 90%. It's very male heavy dominant. So
you're
obviously
going to the wrong ones. The one I go to is 65 female, 35. I mean, you got to go.
Well, if you could show me where that one is, PBD, I'd love to show up to that one.
I'm trying, but the ones I go to, they have kids as well.
Okay, gotcha.
If you're ever going to get married, Adam, you got to go to the
So
right
here it is.
Now your
Okay.
audience.
But the reality is, yes, Trump, well-deserved. Go ahead and get that vote if you can. But these independent, moderate women, that's going to determine this election.
By the way, you know what the stat came out, Tom? Rob, I don't know if you have this or not. That was pretty interesting. Did you guys see the Wall Street Journal article on podcasters?
Yes.
You know, everybody wants to be a podcaster today. Do you know how many total podcasts there are worldwide? Total number of podcasts.
Worldwide?
Worldwide. How many total podcasts worldwide? Rob, if you have that article, WSJ.
Should we guess?
Brandon, if you can send me the notes you gave me yesterday, specifically the charts. I want you to guess. Don't look. I want you to guess. How many total podcasts worldwide?
In the world?
I'm just going to go a cool million.
5 million.
5 million?
How many million minutes? How many million minutes of podcast? How many total number of podcast episodes have been done?
Oh,
150 million.
Yeah.
Holy.
Okay.
So 5 million, 150 million. Okay.
150 million podcast episodes have been done, right? These are stats of podcasts. But Wall Street Journal did a great article. There's 500 million listeners you're competing with. That's the podcast listeners. 500 million. And you know what the sponsorship money right now is on podcast, Tom? You know how much money of sponsorship goes to podcasts right now? It's not a lot of money. What do you think it is?
Percentage.
Just take a wild guess. Total
amount?
dollar amount, U.S. podcasts.
Per episode?
No. Like total dollar amount per year sponsorship given a podcast.
Oh, a year ago we crossed $1 billion. So I'm going to say $1.5 billion globally.
Good number, $3 billion. Okay.
Wow.
And so a lot of people are looking at this deal. Well, I'm going to be the next Rogan. I'm going to be the next Call Her Daddy and all this other stuff. Right now, the top 3 podcasts on Spotify, I think, are Call Her Daddy, Tucker, and then Rogan. Right now, if you go on Apple and you look, if you go to Chartable, Rob, if you go to Chartable and you look at the top podcasts, Brandon, again, if you can send that article, there was a couple things there. And then, by the way, this was the other thing with Pew Research, which was freaking insane. What do you think are the top, like what topic is 25% of all top podcasts? What topic?
Murder, mystery?
Crime.
People
is,
love murder.
That's right. Crime was 24%.
Women.
What topic you think is number 2?
Wasn't that crime, comedy, news?
No, it's not. No.
Politics.
Nope. Politics is number 2 with government. Rob, I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to drop it on your computer. This is a must-see. These statistics are absolutely insane to look at because it's revealing so much on what's working and what's not working, what the audience is interested in, and what they're not interested in. Brandon, I'm trying to get that one about the top 10, where 34% of this gets this, 13% of viewership gets this, 13%. I know the numbers, but if you have it, I want to show the visuals. Rob, if you can show this. Check this out. So here's what it looks like. 24% is true crime. 10% is politics and crime. Zoom in a little bit. 9% of podcasts are entertainment, pop culture, and arts. 8% is self-help and relationships. Then it's 6% sports, 4% history, 2% money and finance, comedy, religion, all at 2 points. Science and technology 1, health 1, multiple topics 20, and other is 12%. Now, here's a crazy thing. The stat. You ready? Check this out. Out of the 500 million views that people get, out of the 500 million monthly listeners that they're competing for, do you know what percentage goes to the top 10? Tom, it's a very interesting stat here. Out of the 500 million listeners you're competing for, what percentage of the 500 million you think goes to the top 10?
Is it the Pareto principle, like 80%?
Brandon, if you got it, get it, and then be ready to show it in a minute. What do you think it is?
Brandon, up, please.
I said Pareto principle, 80%.
Okay. What do you think it is?
I think it'll be something ridiculous, 85, 90%.
This is what percentage of all the money goes to the top?
10. Don't show it yet, Rob.
To the top 10 podcasts or top 10%?
10. Not top 10%. Top 10% is 80%, but this is not top 10% top. It's the top 10. So think about it.
Oh, gotcha.
5 million podcasts. It's not 80-20 theory.
Yeah.
5 million podcasts. Of the 5 million podcasts, what percentage does the top 10 get? Not the top 10%. the top
Gotcha.
10.
Okay.
So it's not 80-20.
I'm going to say
90.
35%, 30%.
I think it's going to be ridiculous.
That'll be ridiculous. I'll say half the viewership.
Okay,
goes to
pull
the
it
top
up,
10.
Rob. You're actually the one, Adam. Look at this. 35% is a top 10.
I know what I'm doing here, guys. I'm the greatest.
Did you hear this?
Yeah,
the
of course.
top 10 gets 35% of that $500 million. The next 11 to 12 is competing for the next 13%.
Mm-hmm.
26 to 100 gets the other 13%. 75 of them are competing for 13%. From 101 to 500, the next 400 are competing for 16%. Then from 501 to 1,000 is 5%. You add all that up, you know what you get? That's 61 plus that is 77. That's 82%. Vinny, the top 1,000 podcasts get 82% of listenership. The other 4,999,000 get the other 18% of viewership.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's the crazy part. And when people are thinking about this, you know, they're sitting like, oh my God, Rogan got a few $100 million. I'm going to go, here's what I'm going to be doing. This is what we're going to be going. This is a very, very, very competitive space. But guess who all of a sudden popped up to be the #1 podcaster for about a week?
And I've never even seen it. The girl.
No, Call Her Daddy's been around for a while.
Tucker.
And she's right now doing the Olympics. Yeah. And they're interviewing her as Alex Cooper, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then she on her cards, Tom, you were showing this because you follow her very closely. Her cards while she's giving.
I don't follow her. I was watching I was watching her interview with Simone Biles. And I'm like, and I'm looking at him like, why is she holding a Call Her Daddy? I'm like, wait, this is Alex.
Our podcast is called Call Her Daddy, Tom.
Call Her Daddy.
Tucker Carlson moved up to #1 for one time. Mm-hmm. You know why? You know what Tucker's doing that nobody else is doing? Even though Tucker is Tucker Carlson, he's willing to fly to Russia to interview anybody. He's willing to travel to Australia. He's willing to travel to Argentina. He's willing to travel anywhere, which means you can go compete at the highest level if you're willing to get on the road again and go meet with the folks.
Go see Putin again.
But the craziest stat of everything of podcasts, guess what was the craziest stat about all the podcasts? You ready? This was by far the craziest. Brandon, if you can find this one, on if podcasts are peaking or dropping.
Ooh.
The crazy stat, meaning are more people starting a podcast today or are fewer people starting a podcast today?
Can we guess?
Yeah, go for it.
I think during 2020, it peaked incredibly. I think everyone we started in 2020. But there's something called consistency, there's something called persistency, and something called resiliency. And I think a lot of people have dropped off since 2020.
I think they dropped off.
Tom, what do you think?
I think we've seen peak like fintech and fads you see in venture capital. I think we've seen peak podcast starts.
Rob, can you pull that up and just show it to everybody? Check this out.
Rob.
Look at the podcasting.
Yeah.
Number of active podcasts peaked at around 800,000 first quarter of 2021 COVID.
There it is.
And a lot of people disappeared 6 months later. It went from 800,000 podcasts to 420,000 podcasts. Poof, they left the market. And now it's around 420,000 podcasts. People that are competing in it. It's going to be interesting to see what people do. The game's going to change. It's not something that whoever's competing today is going to be the case forever. And by the way, the whole reason why I'm showing you this last part here is just to tell you guys thank you, because on YouTube we crossed 2 million subscribers. Wouldn't happen without you. Appreciate you guys. Love you all for what you're doing. And this has been a wild ride for us doing this, but we're excited about the next phase we're going. We got a lot of good news coming up here. A lot of you guys have already registered for the live podcast we're doing this Friday. I think it's going to be with, if I'm not mistaken, Dennis Quaid. Rob, we're watching a movie together, Reagan.
Screening.
Friday. That's right. We're going to watch the movie first. And then right afterwards, an hour, they're going to break down the whole thing because we're doing it professionally while you're going to watch the movie. Then Dennis Quaid hits the stage, and he and I have a 2-hour conversation together and some interesting questions to ask this man who's playing Reagan today. We're looking forward to that. All the VIPs are sold. All the premieres are sold. There's some generals left if you want to register to it. And then tonight, once again, 6 p.m., AI Revolution. AI webinar, 6 p.m. tonight. Get on their QR code and then put the reminder on your phone. You're going to ask me, Why didn't you tell me to put a reminder? I'm telling you, put a reminder on your phone, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you don't miss tonight's podcast. At the end, everybody will be getting this white paper. Everybody will be getting this. We'll see you there. God bless everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.